Boot.
All right. And I've got levels. Make levels, Brian.
Levels.
All right, good job.
Levels, Jerry.
Good job.
That's a Seinfeld reference that you probably don't understand, Drew.
No, I don't.
I feel like you don't know me because you haven't watched Seinfeld.
Oh, there are plenty of things I can reference to get you. I can reference Community or 30 Rock.
You know me pretty deep, I will say.
Or Office you usually get. I don't know how to reference Severance for you. Otherwise, I would definitely
You watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't come up organically.
You did, well, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't come up with a lot of Severance references.
No, you don't. For as much as you... Maybe because you just don't have the faith that anyone would get it.
Well, there's that. And also, we don't have...
No one on the planet...
We don't have a naturally...
We
don't have a naturally, like, cultish, dystopian work environment
That's
either.
probably good. If you can reference Severance regularly in the workplace, I'd say that's a problem.
You might have a questionable life.
Yeah, there's an issue there.
Feel super prepared.
Oh, God, yeah.
Definitely ready.
So
coming on strong after episode 100. Oh, my gosh.
We couldn't even remember what we did last week, and we're like, we should probably recap DC. Oh, God.
There was so much in such a compressed period, but that was a week ago.
Oh, God.
All right.
What did I do? Oh, man.
All right. You ready to do this? As ready as we're going to be today, right now, to do this? All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 101 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I am Brian Goulet.
I am Drew Brown.
And we're here, back at Goulet Pens proper,
Ayo.
to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we're going to be talking about our favorite teal inks. If it's worth using your cheaper pens after you've gotten nicer ones, how do you go back? And differences between German, Japanese, and Italian pens.
This sounds like a question you could answer very quickly, right?
Absolutely. Not at all a deep dive. Sailor Ink Studio Hidden Gems. Curious your take on this one. I bet it has 3 numbers in it. And we're going to spotlight a rather amusing pen, I'll say, that was mentioned previously in the Pencast.
We're not spotlighting a pen?
Yeah, I thought we were. Oh, no.
No.
Sorry. Save that. We do have a pen that was mentioned in the Pencast that somebody gave me at the DC show.
We were going to mention a notebook, and then we were going to mention a pen.
And we changed it.
And then we were going to mention we're just going to recap.
We're like super on top of things today. No, okay, so I previously updated notes that
Stay tuned for next week, in which case we'll do one of the other things.
We'll have a really weird pen to show you, but we don't today, even though I brought it, but I'm not going to take it out. I'm like a combination of on top of things, but also not.
You're just on top of the wrong things.
Exactly. Story of my life. Okay, we're going to talk about the DC show in more detail because it's now completed, and we're
going to try desperately to recall.
We've reflected a little more, yeah. And so that's all that's happening today. Anyway, we'll get through it, but we'll start off with some feedback.
All right. Break out your tissues for this one, Brian.
Okay.
Jazzy JP wrote in and said, of the DC Pen Show and the Pencast Live, attending this show live is undoubtedly one of the best experiences I have ever had. Full of laughter, heartfelt emotions, smiles, the room had so much energy that simply cannot be captured on video. I've witnessed these gentlemen have so much character and finesse on video for quite some time. And let me tell you all, in person, it is alive and well. Oh, God. Talking to them feels, as you would imagine, like you have known them and been best friends for quite some time. I feel blessed to have been there and have been part of this beautiful celebration. Thank you, Brian and Drew, for simply being you. We love and appreciate everything you do and have done for the community. If it weren't for you both, I wouldn't have fallen in love with this beautiful process with fountain pens or met this incredible, special, supportive community. Love you guys.
That's awesome.
I love you too, Jazzy JP.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God.
Gosh.
And I don't just, yikes. I don't want to be self-serving and like saying, oh, wow, this person really liked us, or anything. But like, it's worth celebrating that this connection runs both ways. So we could gush over you all the time, but in reading these, I feel like it's just we're opening up that two-way street because we feel the same way. We 100% do. We've been gushing about our experiences since we got back from the DC show. So back at you, Jazzy JP.
Awesome.
Jace3604 writes in, I'm sorry I couldn't have been there on Sunday to attend the live Pencast. Happy 100! The pen show was amazing. The 2 times I saw you both on Saturday, you were surrounded by pen friends, so I didn't get a chance to say hello. But glad to hear you had a great time. At Drew...
Could just yell turkey hammock at Drew.
Yeah, yell something. Just call me I don't know. Use your choice.
You can call him a lot of things.
I've been called worse. Drew, I also love Michael Bean and will suffer no Michael Bean slander.
Who?
See that? I have
Michael
people
Bean?
out there, Brian. So...
Fellow beaners?
Yes. Beananites.
Beanies?
Yes. So thank you. Yes. Michael Bean is a fantastic actor. And...
I don't dislike Michael Bean.
I know, but you said no one has heard of him.
Well, most people haven't.
You were right. When I mentioned that on the Pencast, nobody was responding at all. You
no
weren't
one
wrong.
came to your defense.
You weren't wrong, except for Jace. Jace came to my defense. And I appreciate you for it, Jace.
Well, there you go. You feel seen.
My people.
Awesome. I got some feedback too. So Tiss says, thanks, Brian and Drew. I can tell you why people watch your Pencast. There are some people that are just made to listen to when they talk. And you belong to them. It is just nice to listen to you. It's relaxing. Even if your Pencast would not be about pens, it would be pleasing to listen to you. Oh, look at that. We forgot the lights. Again,
Bottom one's dead.
not super on top of this. Oh, really? Oh.
There we go.
All right. There you go. Get to peek behind the curtain. See how our lights work. Our super fancy lights that we have. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I'm glad you like listening to us because we definitely talk about plenty of things that aren't pens. So yes. I feel like that's a genuine response.
Yes, this person has encountered that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very cool. I appreciate that. And then Joshua Chandler says, am I losing my mind or is Brian's wedding band green here instead of the usual blue?
Someone noticed.
You're not losing your mind, Joshua.
I noticed the week before last.
My blue one broke. It's a silicone, it's just because I work outside a lot and I literally know people who work in like trade work that have like lost fingers and stuff from their wedding rings getting caught on things and stuff. And I was like, that doesn't sound fun. So I do not wear my normal wedding ring basically ever, but I wear silicone ones. And Rachel bought me, I think it was for Christmas, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It's been a while. She bought me several different bands all at once. And I put the blue one on first because of course she bought me the blue one, this like iridescent green.
I like that
blue,
one.
Which is cool, but it's like silicone. It's squishy, so it's like very comfortable. I can wear it all the time, never have to think about it. And she got me a black one too. It's a little thicker, so I don't like the black one quite as much because it's like more in the way.
Do you ever switch that out for formal occasions?
No, I don't even think about it. What are my formal occasions?
I don't know.
What am I doing formally?
I don't know.
I never do it. No,
I saw you in a suit jacket yesterday.
I was wearing
That's
a
a
suit
story
jacket.
for another day.
Upcoming video coming soon. You'll see me probably the nicest dressed I've been on video in, certainly for years, maybe ever. I don't know. So look forward to that. It's a silicone ring and the blue one broke finally. After everything I've put it through for years, it finally broke. So
I haven't taken mine off since 2005. I can randomly take it off if I need to, if I get goop on it or something. Mm-hmm. But it used to be this nice tungsten carbide. It still is tungsten carbide, but it had like the outer edges were nice and glossy and the middle was like a matte. Oh. Now the whole thing's matte. It's just
Oh, it's going to happen over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never take it off.
Yeah. That's like hard, right? Tungsten carbide's like super hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's heavy too. It's not like titanium where it's like
very
lightweight.
dense material, right?
It's a heavy ring.
Yeah, tungsten, I think.
But it's tiny because I have like little child fingers.
What size ring
I don't know, like
wear?
-2. I don't know. Could probably fit on your pinky, maybe the tip of your pinky.
I don't have huge fingers. Let's see. This is interesting, right? Y'all want to see
Look
this?
at that thing.
There.
So tiny.
Look at my little silicone one if you can try it on. I think mine's like a 9.
Oh yeah,
9.5.
that's a thumb ring for me.
Oh, there's no
no
chance that's fitting on here. It's tight on my pinky.
I told you.
That's incredible. It is tight on my pinky.
Well, the worst thing is I got these like Jafar fingers, so I got these bony knuckles. So like it takes force to get over my knuckle, but then it's like floppy when it passes
loose.
My knuckle.
Yeah, interesting.
Garbage fingers.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Nothing.
My hands have gotten so much thicker over the years. I'm a little on the heavier side of where I've
got
been
some
right
hams.
Now. But like all the like outdoor work and stuff that I do, grabbing and lifting and cutting and all that stuff, Rachel and I will hold hands now, and she's like, it's hard. Like it
what
hurts
is
our
that?
fingers to like spread them out. Yeah, like when we like interlock them. Yeah, because like my fingers are so like they can crush her precious fingers. Anyway,
don't do that.
Yeah, so you're not crazy. I did change colors.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you noticed. Most people, I don't get as many comments about that kind of thing as you would think. People comment about watches a lot, but anyway. All right. So that's it for some feedback, but we got a lot of really great comments that were in the vein of like how much people appreciated seeing us in DC and all that. So it's very
a lot of congratulations on 100 too. So
that's awesome.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. New stuff, shall we?
New stuff.
Let's talk about new stuff. All right. Drew, what new stuff do we have?
Well, the first thing
we're super on top of things.
The first thing you
I got
need
is
to talk about the 3776.
Yeah, that's right. I need to go first.
Talk about your expert analysis.
My expert opinion.
In depth.
Yes. So I've seen pictures of this pen. I have one of them on my desk, but I have not.
We chatted about this very briefly before we got in here. I have
not opened it up yet. Yeah. But this is the new limited edition 3776 called Iroko Gumo.
You always keep one of these too, don't you?
I do.
So you'll snag one of these?
Yeah, I've got one. It's literally on my desk.
This is the first two-tone one they've done where the cap is different than the barrel.
Normally
how do you feel about that? Are you pleased by this?
I like the color. So it's this like bluish gray kind of translucent
But do you wish
cap.
the whole thing was bluish gray?
I wouldn't hate that, but then it wouldn't really fit as much into the theme because like all of them have some sort of texture or swirl or something like that.
They did a red one.
They did like the carnelian, I think it was, but that was a US exclusive or North American exclusive. That wasn't one of these limited editions.
No, I was thinking about that one with all the maybe I'm thinking of something else.
There was some kind of texture going on with these.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There was a red one with texture.
Oh, yeah. There's a red one. Yeah.
And then they did, obviously the Kumpu with the teal.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. But so they have done colors, but
for sure.
I think it would look good if the whole thing was smoke.
I think it would
not smoke.
The blue guy.
It reminds me a little bit of the Stone Blue Pilot Custom 74.
Okay.
But I haven't seen this one in person, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off.
If only I had opened it up, then we could have seen it in person.
All right.
Anyway, so the pen's $4.95. It's got extra fine, and medium nibs. 3776 nibs are great. They're numbered pens, so out of 3,000. So, kind of true limited edition fashion. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. It looks like, almost looks like crystal like glassware or something. It's got like
very
that,
pretty.
Yeah, and it's like you can feel that texture on it too. It's like kind of bubbly looking.
Bubbly.
So if you're not into texture, I don't know, maybe not. But
maybe
they're always very textured and you can always feel them. Yeah, but I don't know, it's kind of cool. So looks really classy. And then the other thing that you told me to mention, Drew, I totally forgot.
I can mention.
What else was it?
Benu Talisman. We've got 3 new Benu Talismans. We've got some eyes coming at you. We've got Tiger's Eye, Cat's Eye, and Hawk's Eye. Each of these are going to be $154. They're the Talisman line, so they're good luck charms, all based off of very lovely quartz derivatives.
God, these are all
varieties.
Good.
So they're going to have a little bit of that actual quartz in there too. So all beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colors.
Which color is your favorite of these, Joe? Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye is like this deep teal. Looks really good. I mean, the Hawk's Eye blue. Come on.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know.
Oh,
I need to get my hands on them. I haven't.
But the orange is good too. The Tiger's Eye, that also looks good.
Yeah, not the orange. I won't go with Tiger's Eye. It would be one of the two.
No,
it'd be the blue or the teal. Yeah.
Okay.
If I got an orange and black talisman, I would go with the Foxglove.
That one's really good too.
I think that one is more punchy than this one, which is what I want when I'm going with Benu. Because if I'm going with Benu, I'm not going for subtlety.
Right.
I'm going boom Foxglove.
Can you get subtlety with a Benu pen?
I mean, I would say the Tiger's Eye is more subtle than Foxglove, but that's not really saying much at all.
As subtle as it gets, I guess.
Pretty much.
Literally, I'm looking through all the Benus and I'm like, there is
I feel like
nothing
the
here
most subtle
that is not
Benu I've
jumping.
ever seen was they had some Supreme models that were just one color. It was just like this iridescent blue.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And some of like what is it called? The Briolet. They had some smaller ones of that were more plain back in the day. Not anymore though.
Nah, people know what they want, and they don't want subtlety. They get subtlety elsewhere.
They know who they are. They do it well. Cool. But you can check out other new things, stuff that we have coming soon up on the website. We got a little thing in the top menu bar there. Check that out. All right. Q&A time, Drew.
Yeah.
Ready to ace some Qs?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, our old buddy, Banana is a Hannah, is writing in today. We're going to kick things off with her, and we're going to go with your favorite teal ink, question mark. Also, sub-question, is there a teal with gold shimmer? So
Well,
Hannah is asking you...
I can answer this question very efficiently.
Oh!
Because my favorite teal ink...
First time for everything.
My favorite teal ink is a teal with gold shimmer.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was Diamond Marine.
Well, so I broke out the answer into...
Hold on, you just said...
non-shimmer and shimmer.
Okay, so when you say
so I took a little interpretation in here, but I think my overall... It's tough.
All right, so when you say I can answer this question efficiently, your definition of efficient is not necessarily...
It's on a curve.
Oh, God.
You got to look at what normally is not an efficient answering of a question for me. This is on the more efficient end, but it's like a subtle Banu pen.
I see.
It's kind of
You're
on that
subverting
similar
expectations
scale.
then.
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Bring it, give it to us, Brian.
Well, I want to...
Hannah can't wait forever.
Part of it...
Or her bananas.
Part of this is I'm intentionally delaying it because I want everybody watching to try to guess, because I definitely have some teal inks that I've talked about repeatedly.
You've talked about
that
Marine?
I like. Yes.
What other teals have you talked about? Is it a Robert Oster?
No. You're going to know it as soon as I say it. You're going to be like, oh, of course.
What other teals have you talked about?
Well, I'll let y'all stew on that for a second.
I'm stewing.
Part of the reason I'm doing this is because when I was at the show at DC, I had so many people that I was talking to, and like I'd be talking to maybe a couple people in a group, especially if it was like at night, in the hotel lobby and we're kind of mingling. People were talking, and one person would ask me a question about like, oh, what kind of this do you like? And somebody else in the group would be able to answer on my behalf.
Blue water ice.
Accurately. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty spot on. I was like,
how does that make you feel, being so predictable?
I don't know. It makes me like, it felt like you're with friends.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But it's
That's a fact.
but it was also like, God, do I just talk about myself too much? Like, because everybody really kind of knows this stuff. But anyway, my favorite teal ink without shimmer is Diamond Marine.
Okay, yeah.
So you're pretty spot on with that.
Okay.
There's a lot of other good teals, though. I'll say this is one where I probably feel like I might be holding myself back a little bit, because I have pretty much a go-to teal with Diamond Marine.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably haven't explored other teals as much because I've been so satisfied with that teal. But since I discovered that ink, this was years ago, it's probably been my go-to teal for like a decade. So this is one where I'm like, yeah, I really have not explored beyond that much, and I probably should, because as I'm looking at other colors, I'm like, there's some other strong teals out there. So other really popular ones I looked up like on our site, and which ones that I know that are good that people talk about. Monteverde California teal, Pilot Kujaku, very popular. Pelican Edelstein Aquamarine is good, and then Robert Oster Tranquility. So there's a bunch of other good ones too, but those were some of the ones that like kind of floated to the top in terms of popularity. But to compete with that, perhaps, maybe, I don't know if, see, I'm really torn about if this one unseats Marine as my favorite teal. But
you said my favorite teal is one with gold shimmer.
Yeah, so I should probably just commit to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's Urban 1670 Emerald of Chivor.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, see?
Oh my God.
I told you would know immediately.
Oh my God, that one wasn't even...
Yeah, that was immediately what came to mind with this, because teal with gold shimmer, I was like, well, I friggin' love that ink.
Oh, wow, yeah. I wasn't even thinking about Emerald of Chivor.
But the reason I'm like not 100% sure if it's definitely teal color, but it's got like such a heavy red sheen too, and it's got the shimmer in there. By the time it gets on the page, it's not really just a teal ink at that point.
It depends on the paper.
You know what
the
I mean?
red sheen only comes through sometimes.
That's true. You got to really
when you're writing with it normally on normal paper, it doesn't get too
but
shiny.
like I'm using like a Goulet notebook with Tomoe paper as like my carry around notebook. So it's like most of the time I'm not really seeing like as true a teal as you could with most other inks. Mm-hmm. So I would say if we're answering this question in its like purest form, like I love Emerald of Chivor, and that probably tops for me. But when I don't want shimmer and I don't want all the other craziness happening, I just want the plain teal, especially a really good shader. That's where I just love Marine. I don't know, just something about the color just like hits me right. The shading is really strong. I like it. It flows easy. It's easy to maintain.
It's a great ink.
Yeah. So those are good. But there are other teal shimmers as well. So it was actually very convenient. If you've never done this before, you can go in, look at all of our inks on our website. You can have like over on the sidebar there, we have essentially filters. So you can select the teal color there and then select shimmering or not shimmering. So you can literally sort and filter through and just see teal shimmer inks. So that's what I did because I can't remember them all from the top of my head. So I was very glad that I was able to use that function on our own site. Diamine Enchanted Ocean. So this is a deep teal, leaning very heavy kind of blue with silver shimmer.
Yeah, I've never used that one.
So not gold shimmer like you asked, but good color. Ferris Wheel Press Edwards Garden. Dark teal with gold shimmer. Diamine Spearmint Diva. This is a lighter green.
Love that color.
Yeah, with some silver shimmer. So that one's good, but
that one is a spicy ink.
It borders on, you could argue that it's more of a turquoise than a teal. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's on the brighter end of things.
Still good though.
Still good. We don't have like a separate filter on our site for turquoise and teal. It's all kind of in the like aqua family.
I think we consider it all turquoise on the website.
Yeah, I think that's what we call it. But that's part of my fun fact for today is about teal versus turquoise and why they're what they are. Robert Oster Crystal Marine. So this is a really pure teal with a blue shimmer.
Yep.
So that one's really interesting. I might want to try that one. I have not tried one. Is it good?
Yes, for good reason. It is good. It's actually the shimmery alternative of my favorite teal.
Okay. Which is what?
Deep Sea.
Deep Sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's what I would consider
Deep Sea.
Yeah, Robert Oster Deep Sea. It's what I would consider to be a shimmer version of Deep Sea.
Okay.
So I personally like Deep Sea better. That's my favorite teal.
Yeah.
But Crystal Marine is like
that's in there.
That's like when it puts on its party shirt and goes out clubbing. That's
right.
That's what
it's
does,
in the what is it called? The special line. The
Shake and Shimmy.
Shake and Shimmy. Yep. That's right. It is a Shake and Shimmy ink, which I think is that's the ones that are like
all of them are Shake and Shimmy.
They're
all the shimmers are called Shake and Shimmy. That's just his. Okay. That's just his like diamond Shimmertastic.
Shake and Shimmy. Okay, cool. Another one. This is a newer one. Waringle Wayfarer.
Mm-hmm.
That one is a medium teal with a violet shimmer. Not a real heavy shimmer though. It seems pretty subtle, but that's kind of an interesting little mix up, a little change up. And then the last one I have, this is kind of in the vein of like Spearmint Diva, but Diamine Tropical Glow. So this is a little bit lighter blue with a silver shimmer. Maybe leans a little more turquoise, but could be an alternative. It's kind of more of a turquoise with silver shimmer. So not at all what you asked me for, but we got some teal with gold options in there, but I thought there were lots of fun teals with stuff in them.
Absolutely, there are.
A bunch of good options.
Yeah, so Deep Sea by Robert Oster is my favorite teal. If we're going into turquoise territory, my favorite is Diamine Havasu Turquoise.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a classic. It
ain't
broke. It doesn't need to be fixed. It's fantastic. I will say, speaking of Waringle inks, Brian, you don't need to find a teal with gold shimmer because you can make your own. Because Waringle has a glitter potion. It's rose gold technically, but it looks gold. Called Brain. If you add a couple drops of that to an ink sample, 3 drops if you're using one of our ink samples, you can turn your favorite teal ink sample into that teal with gold shimmer. So go for it. I would highly recommend that. So you don't need to be limited by what the ink companies sprinkle into their teals. You can sprinkle your own thing into whatever teal you desire.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Very cool. So you got some good options there.
Yeah, you do. And also, if you need to know the difference between teal and turquoise, I have a video for that as well.
Oh, yes, a very helpful.
Very helpful.
Very clear.
Definitively, yes, exploding with expertise.
Oh, absolutely.
And no nonsense at all.
One that Drew really is proud of, too. It's definitely one of his favorite videos.
I have never been more punchable than I am in that video.
When he shot that one, he's like, I know the video is going to be fine, but I just don't like it. I don't like what I did with it. I don't like how it turned out. And I'm like, it's a great video.
Every time I watch a video, I'm like, I want to slap that guy. But I literally had somebody come up to me at the pen show. Was like, I think that's the best video the Goulet Pen Company has ever made. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
Why?
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I was like, that video's...
That video. It's just funny because that's the most recent video you've done where you're just like, I just don't like...
No.
I don't like this one and how it kind of turned out.
No.
It happens. You know,
Oh, I'm so annoying.
we're doing creative work here. It's like we don't always
And I mean, like, who
know
like,
how it's going to turn out.
no one likes looking at themselves on camera, and it's like you can tolerate it at most. At most, you can tolerate yourself in the mirror or on screen, or even just hearing your voice on a message. A lot of the times, though, you just can't stand it. So you know, it is what it is. I know I'm not alone there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm numb to it at this point. I've heard myself in video, especially talking about pens so much. It's like I almost disassociate myself with
I'm
it.
usually pretty ambivalent, but every now and then there's just some like, oh wow,
Yep.
hate that guy.
Well, there you go. So if you're not a big Drew fan, just know that he's not a big Drew fan either.
No.
Sometimes it happens.
No, of course not.
Oh my gosh. All right, I got a question for you, Drew.
All right, bring it on.
This is from Packers Jedi. So I know you're going to like it. How to justify continuing to use your inexpensive pens after you've bought expensive ones. So what should one do?
This one does really enjoy variety. So when my 3 pens that I keep inked up are out of ink, I cycle them out. Very rarely, I'll say, will I ink up a pen that I already ran out of. Usually, I want to mix it up and get a different pen.
So you're not just changing ink colors, you're changing pens
Yes.
with each filling.
Absolutely. Every single time.
That makes sense.
Gets
you good variety.
The most recent time I didn't do that was when I got my Christmas pudding sailor in December or whatever. That one I inked up twice because I couldn't.
That one got you, huh?
That one got me. New pens sometimes break that rule, but other than that, no, they get rotated through, and I just like that variety. So I'll clean a pen, put it away, and look for a pen that I haven't written with in a while. I do have some pens that I don't reach for, that I just, for whatever reason, either I get them in the hand and they're not super comfortable, or I know they've got a nib that I don't love. But most of the time, I'm just like, I don't remember at all what that feels like. So being forgetful actually helps and makes the experience more
You're
fresh.
experiencing new things more often.
I know which ones I really like, but I always forget the ones that are just kind of like, okay. Sometimes I am surprised by them. I'm like, oh, wow, this one has a really good flow to it.
Yeah.
Because you never know. The first couple times you ink up something, it might just not agree with whatever ink you chose. And then the more you use it, the more different inks you put in there, you might get surprised by a unexpectedly pleasant writing experience. So I like the variety. So I don't have to go out of my way to make myself write with the more affordable pens.
Yeah.
I like to mix it up.
So what are some pens that you like, more affordable pens that would fit into this category that you have in your rotation?
The Swipe and the Go. I like to play with those every now and then. The Go is just fun. It's not like one of my favorite pens, but it's fun to ink.
TWSBI pens.
TWSBI Swipe, TWSBI Go. I jump into those every now and then.
Okay.
The Eco, not so much, because I just don't like filling it up. It's just too much capacity for me. But I will do it.
You don't have to fill it all the way.
I know, yeah.
You can just fill it a little bit.
But I'll do that. I do jump into the Explorer and the Kakuno pretty regularly.
Okay.
Pilot.
Yeah, I know you're into those.
I don't own a Metropolitan. I've never owned a Metropolitan.
I have 20 of them.
I've never wanted one. I was like, no.
Just don't get it, Drew.
You go below the Metropolitan, you got the Kakuno. And now the Metropolitan is a little bit more expensive than the Explorer, I think. But for a while, they're right there. So why?
You want to know what's funny? I just talked with so there were a bunch of pilot folks there at the DC show. So I get to spend some good time with them. Some of them were engineers from Japan. So they were trying to see we'll get into that when we talk more about the DC show. But, part of who we get to see is the people that we deal with more as the, Pilot USA, the distributor, getting to talk with them. The Metropolitan is not the actual name of that pen.
What's the MR?
It's the MR.
Yeah.
So it's the Pilot MR. The Metropolitan was the first collection that they came out with that was the black, the gold, and the silver with the dots and all that. So it was called the Metropolitan, but we and others just adopted Metropolitan as its name, and then as they came out with new lines, we just kept calling it Metropolitan. But that's never actually been
it's
the official name of that pen.
I thought it was just that name in the US.
No.
We ruined it.
It's never been that name. It was the name of the collection.
Why doesn't it ever
of
say
the first pens that came out?
Why doesn't it ever say MR on the labels and stuff like that?
I don't know.
Even the VP says, capless on it.
These are good questions. So sometimes things get maybe a little lost in translation. Sometimes it's, we don't know. But
I always thought the MR standard for Metropolitan.
Metropolitan? No, the Metropolitan was the original.
There you go.
Black, gold, and silver. And then they came out with the
Retropop.
The Retropop, and then the Animal series. So it's always been MR, Metropolitan, MR.
Well, they should put it on the
Retropop.
freaking label then.
But I just thought that was funny. So it's like a little thing at Pilot,
I could swear that like even the animal print ones and the Retropop ones say the word Metropolitan on them.
I know we've said that.
I think it says that on the label.
Does it?
We'll need to go check. We need to confirm this.
So it's not been the most clear, but
No.
They brought that up as something that was interesting. I was like, oh, well, we've been doing it wrong for about 10 years now, or whenever it came out. I think it was.
They might have just given up and be like, all right, it's the
maybe?
Metropolitan now.
I mean, it's like at some point it just gets adopted as that's the name for it, but it's not called Metropolitan outside the U.S.
Yeah, that I did know.
Anyway.
But so I do reach for those as well. So one thing I will say that you don't need to write with all of your pens. So if you start off with some more affordable pens and work your way up and find that you do enjoy writing with your more expensive purchases more than your less expensive purchases, keep writing with what you like to write with. Like there's no rule that says you need to write with them all. Like your journey took you to this place. And if you are happier writing with what you're currently writing, don't deviate from that. Continue writing with what brings you the most joy. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. And if you have pens that are just chilling there, either keep them for sentimental value or rehome them and get them to somebody else who might enjoy them and actually use them.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people that do that.
Absolutely.
Especially if they like feel kind of bad. Like, so people that I know that like will find pens that they like don't use as much or don't love for whatever reason. If they're like a significant enough, purchase amount, they might sell them or, whatever, try to trade with somebody or something, and get something they enjoy more. But with inexpensive pens, it's often like not worth trying to sell, a $10 or $15 pen, whatever. But I know a lot of people that are like, they'll give that to their niece or nephew or like somebody that they,
or just put it up on eBay for $10. Somebody that's looking for their first fountain pen might really enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, the fountain pen community as a whole is pretty generous,
Oh, yeah.
especially if there's like newer people to the hobby that don't have a lot of resources and they're just looking to get something. I know a lot of people that have like basically just donated pens that they don't use anymore for that reason, just to share the joy, share the love. Yeah. Do you feel like one should do that? Not necessarily give them away, but like purge less expensive pens that maybe they don't use anymore, or do you?
I think so.
I
think so. One thing I do is I like to gift pens. If I get gifted a pen, I like to kind of find another pen in my collection that I can gift. Just kind of
pay it forward.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
Of thing. That's cool. Okay.
It prevents me from getting too many pens.
What is that?
I know, right?
I don't understand.
But I do think that there's really no sense in just hoarding these things for no reason. If they don't have sentimental value, then give them a better home. If they're not being used, you have a different reason. You have a library that you pull from for
It's true.
Educational purposes. But if you're not using something, that goes with anything in your life, not just pens. Either it's sentimental or you're just keeping it for no reason. And if you're keeping it for no reason, then might as well give it to somebody who will have a reason to use it.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear from the comments from you all watching. What do you do with your less expensive pens? Do you feel like you have to use them? Do you feel like you don't want to use them because they're just inexpensive and you're like, I'm past that now? Or do you feel like you need to like kind of pay it forward and, share,
or do you
share with
never
somebody?
go past, affordable pens? And that's just where you need to be. Because honestly, you could absolutely do that and have a great fountain pen experience.
For sure. There's no requirement to have to spend a lot of money on pens. That's part of what I love about fountain pens is you can get into them without a huge investment and be perfectly happy staying kind of in that range, and they last a really long time and they're great. Me personally, as is no surprise to you, I basically have every pen that I've ever acquired still. Some of that is because maybe I do have some of those slight hoarding, acquiring, collecting tendencies. And some of that is somewhat justifiable because we do reference pens out of my collection a lot for videos or, when we're considering, carrying products, and we have, suppliers of ours that visit and they need to see, different types of pens as we're talking about things. And maybe what
Sometimes you
people
can
enjoy.
surprise them with their own pens.
That's true. I've had that. Not what am I trying to say? More than a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that where, especially if it's like somebody that, the brand we've been carrying for a while, but maybe there's like a new, manufacturer's rep or sales rep or whatever that we're talking to. They don't have like a decade and a half of history about a certain brand. So they hear about something that launched maybe a long time ago. And I'm like, oh, you mean this?
Right.
Flex.
I've seen that before.
So I do that a lot. I like referencing things. I've got a more tactile kind of memory. So like when I hold a pen or like look at a pen, a lot comes back to me. Whereas if I just look at a picture or try to remember it, not as much comes back. So that's part of what it is for me. But what I end up doing, rather than just like, oh, I'm using expensive pens and sometimes randomly mixing in cheaper ones, I will mix it in based on how I'm using the pen. So I will have certain pens that are on the more inexpensive side if I know that I'm going to be going to a place where people want to try a bunch of pens and I want pens that I can just sort of hand out and share with people without having to worry about it too much. If I'm traveling, if I'm, going to be doing some activity where I don't want to have to worry about a nicer pen and I can just kind of throw some cheapos in there, I will keep the cheaper pens for that more just like knockabout purpose. And I'll keep the more expensive pens as maybe like my desk pens, or I'll keep them in a pen case and carry those more intentionally. So I kind of mix up how I use, but I mean, I could use only expensive pens if I wanted to, but I still like mixing it in and using, the everyday pens.
Agreed.
The starter pens. Yeah. But I still have too many. I have a lot that I probably could
Also
get rid
agreed.
of. Yeah. What are you going to do? All right.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move on to question number 3.
Okay, let's do it.
From Pure Skin Dr. Laser.
Whoa.
That's right.
That's a strong name.
Differences that you see between the German, Japanese, and Italian fountain pens.
Oh, well.
Quick, easy, digestible answer. Go.
Well, the German pens come from Germany.
Oh.
The Japanese pens come from Japan.
How culturally
and the Italian pens
insightful
come
of
from
you,
Italy.
sir.
Nailed it. That's it. Next question.
So intercontinental.
Okay, well, I'll start off by saying I'm going to have to generalize quite a bit, which I don't necessarily love to do because there are a bunch of different brands in each of these countries. Not everything is universally applicable to everything that maybe comes from that country. So I'll have to overgeneralize. So, please don't totally pick it apart, but I'll speak to some of the themes. First off, though, I want to start with some of the similarities between all of these. So all these 3 countries, they all have pretty long established histories of fountain pen making. There's several companies that are like 100 plus years old in each of these countries. So there is a rich history, a rich culture of fountain pens, of writing, in each of these countries. So there's that depth and history and kind of passion for it that is common with all of them. Culturally, like kids being taught in school using fountain pens, very like brick and mortar centric retailers, and really like pride in their home country's brands. I think that's common throughout each of these countries, and they all kind of share that. And they all have lots of passion and dedication to their pens within each country, but the passion manifests in maybe some slightly different ways. But I think they can all appreciate that same kind of like approach towards their pens. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So those are some of the similarities. I think this is not an exhaustive list. I just wrote as much as I could think of. German. Okay. Nibs tend to be smoother, tend to be a little wetter maybe than some of the Japanese ones. So, and some of that is maybe just the long form writing as opposed to like the more script based writing. But in general, the pens are like the nibs are ground usually to maybe hold the pens lower, faster writing. It's more common with, Western style writing. So a lot of that, you deal more with like baby's bottom and like over smoothing on some certain like German nibs. And you very, very seldom see that on Japanese nibs. Very medium nib centric. So a lot of brands, if they come out with like a pen that's a limited edition or, something that's, for the US market, they're kind of testing. They don't want to do a full range of nibs. they're always going to go to it as a medium.
It's very true. I would not have thought about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, whereas Japanese nibs tend to be finer. They excel more in the fine nibs.
Yeah, fine is more their standard.
Yeah, exactly.
If a pen's going to only come out in one size, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Their designs, German designs, tend to be a little more understated, right? A little more minimalistic. They've got that like Bauhaus influence, that function over form. I mean, they do some interesting things with their design for sure, but it's a lot more, I don't know, you can see influences outside the pen community more. I'm thinking specifically like Lamy as an example. They intentionally try to work with designers who don't come from pens to work with their pen designs and stuff. So they are very design centric, but they're a little more subtle. They're not nearly as, expressive maybe as the Italian pens might be, right? And the Japanese pens, they have a lot more like heritage and history and story, like Japanese tradition into a lot of their pens. But German, it's much more about like just the design, kind of just like strictly. So German pens, not often strong themes or stories incorporated into their limited editions. Like you see, especially you think about, Japanese, you have all the makie, you get deep into like lore and history and tradition. You don't see as much of that with German pens.
No, you're right. That's a good point. You see more of it in Italy and way more of it in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Japan, you tend to see more Japan-centric stories and tradition. Italy, you tend to see stuff all over the place. They will tell stories. They just love stories and love art. So they will tell stories about not just things from Italy, but all over the place, including Japan. With a lot of German pens, you get a lot of more standard international, like cartridge converter pens. Not exclusively, but you see a lot more of those with like the lower end Pelican pens, like the non-piston ones. You see that with like Kaweco and some other brands. You see a lot more of that. Whereas, the Japanese pens, each of those manufacturers, they have all their own nibs, they have all their own converters and cartridges. So very proprietary centric. You do get some of that, like with Lamy, but Pelican, Mont Blanc. I'm thinking like a lot of German brands, you get more of that standard international kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Faber-Castell, I think, is more standard international.
Faber-Castell,
as well.
yep, yeah. Like Lamy might be the only one I can think of that comes to mind that isn't standard international. That has their own German brand.
And then you've got isn't Otto Hutt is standard international as well?
Yep.
And then Waldman.
Yep. So much
All
more
standard.
of that. Yeah. And then they do have some in-house nibs in Germany, like Lamy and Pelican, but you have two German like powerhouse nib makers with Bach and Jovo that are all coming from Germany. So you tend to see a lot of those on German pens. Of course, why wouldn't you? Makes a lot of sense. So that's German. Japanese, all the major brands, the big three, Platinum, Pilot, Sailor, all use in-house nibs. They all have their own like nib size convention. They're not interchangeable with anybody else. They just do their own thing. Whereas the interchangeability of nibs and more standardized sizes, you're going to see it a lot more on German Italian pens. Each brand uses their own proprietary cartridge converter. The only ones that I can think of that use standard international is like the Pilot MR.
Yes.
They make a standard international version of that for the European market.
Right.
So that's interesting, and maybe a couple of their pens too.
I know that the Plumix was like that.
Okay.
We don't have the Plumix any longer.
Probably a lot of their like, not their fine writing pens maybe, but more like what they consider in their everyday pens.
I wonder if the
like
Explorer
the
is
MR
like
fits
that.
in that. The Explorer fits into that category too. I don't know if is the Explorer. Let's ask everybody. If you're in Europe, is the Explorer a standard international or is it the Pilot Namiki?
Same question with
cartridge?
the Kakuno.
Yes. Basically, if you have Pilot pens in Europe, are they all standard international or do you deal with Pilot Namiki proprietary? I'm curious to know. So let's see here. Japanese, wide range of nib offerings. Lots of
crazy
specialty nibs coming from the factory.
Way more than you'll see in Europe.
Definitely. Now, I will say, like Pelican, they do special grinds and stuff like that. You can actually go and tour their factory and watch them grind your nib specially, so I'm told. I don't know if they are still doing that. Pelican actually just sold recently. Not sure if you knew that.
I heard
but
that,
it's
yeah.
been in the news, yeah. but the operation,
They sold to a French company, I believe.
yes, and like a major like art supply notebook company. But yeah, so we're told that it's not going to change anything about the fine pen operation.
Do you follow fountain pen memes on Instagram?
I don't check Instagram very often, to be honest with you.
It's a great account. It's a little like, fountain pen nib with a silly face on it.
Yeah.
As soon as that announcement, came out, they photoshopped a picture of like that standard Pelican look where it's just that vertically oriented pen.
Yeah.
But it was a new limited edition and it was a baguette.
That's pretty spot on.
It was really good.
That's pretty spot on.
It was really good.
They got some talent over there. That's great. So yeah, they have medium fine nibs or fine mediums. That's much more of a standard in Japan than pretty much anywhere else. Does anybody outside of Japan have a medium fine or a fine medium? I can't even think. I can't recall
not that
one.
I've seen.
And that's actually I've talked about this a bunch, but I'll say it more again. That's actually the reason why Japanese fine and extra fine nibs are more fine, is because they shove in an extra nib size in there, the fine medium, and so all the fines and extra fines are narrower than most of your European counterparts.
So kind of like if one hotel decided that they didn't care about having a 13th floor, their 14th floor is going to be higher than the other 14th floor.
Yeah, because it would actually be 14 floors, whatever. Let's see here. Japanese are very focused on attention to detail and quality. So are German pens as well, but they really, really care about their quality control in Japan.
Much so.
In Japan,
I was saying Japan is more about like German. They have like a lot of command and control over the manufacturing process and the machining and things like that.
Mm-hmm. You'd think more like industrial.
It's more of a all-encompassing quality obsession with Japanese pens. The nib, I think, gets a majority of their focus in quality control. Like
sure.
If you have a finite amount of ability you can put into your factory to quality control it. I think that the Germans have it evenly distributed, portion here, portion here, portion here, portion here.
Sure.
Not to say that the Japanese pens are lacking in quality control over their body and stuff, but I think that generally they're, the bodies and housing of their pens are relatively simple. But they spend a ton of time making sure their nibs are really, really good. The tipping material specifically.
Yeah. It's like that handwork, that craftsmanship, like that artisanal kind of like craftsmanship comes through in a lot of Japanese pens. Not that they don't in the others, but they particularly care about it.
It's more built into their culture, I think.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I mean, like the trade crafts and, the apprenticeship and mastery.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say. There's much more of a, generational passing of this knowledge as well. That is definitely more of a focus in the Japanese culture.
Yeah. In Japan, lighter pens are generally more desirable.
Oh, for sure.
So here in the U.S., especially in Europe, like when something is really heavy and sturdy, you tend to think of that as higher quality. But it's almost kind of the opposite in Japan, from what I understand, that something that is very high quality is lighter, So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So when you have like a lot of high-end Japanese pens, even if you have a really big pen like the Namiki Emperor, it's made of ebonite. It's not going to be very heavy for its size. So yeah, it's rarer to see like a big, bulky, heavy pen coming out.
It's probably the same weight as like a stainless steel 2000.
Right. Exactly. So, and then the theming, I kind of mentioned this. Theming is often very traditional, incorporating lots of Japanese history and lore, and they're very cartridge converter centric. It's rare that you see piston or vacuum fillers coming out of Japan.
Pilot's got one, Sailor's got one.
Yeah.
And a mini version.
Pilot's got, let's see here. Pilot's got the Custom Heritage 92, the piston filler.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. They have the 823 is a vacuum filler. Mm-hmm. Everything else, cartridge converter.
Yep.
Literally everything else, right?
Technically, the Emperor is a eyedropper.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. But everything else. Sailor, the Rialo is the only piston.
And the mini Rialo, yeah.
Mini Rialo. That's the only piston. They have no vacuum.
Well, they also have multiple sizes of the Rialo. They've got a KOP Rialo as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. I've never seen one of those.
I know you haven't.
You just told me about this recently.
I did.
I was like, it makes sense that they have one, but I'm like, I've never really heard of it.
Yeah.
Rialo is like...
see why I told me to make sure you knew that, and you were like, oh, I did not know that.
See why if you're watching. I understand.
Yeah, that's a lot of capacity.
I want this now. Like I need more pens. Jeez.
Right.
And then, okay, let's go to Italian pens. Italian, they're often much more expressive in their theming and design, right? They're
Very.
like outwardly expressive as opposed to maybe inwardly where
I don't think that they ever make a pen and decide what they're going to do with it. They're like, we need to make a pen based off of the moon. Like,
they're inspired by an idea.
Yeah.
And then they make a pen out of it.
I
don't know
guessing.
that's necessarily the case. I think that's, I mean, we're generalizing here, but
the theming is very much a focus.
Yeah.
Very much a focus.
I think they're much more likely to incorporate a wider range of materials and craftsmanship elements into their pens, especially limited editions.
They take more risks, more chances too.
Absolutely. Like the innovation is less in like machining things a particular way or, something like that. And it's, just look at the limited editions from like Montegrappa or Visconti. You get these wild things that you've never seen before. That is what is very appealing. And that's an Italian like culture thing. You look at their cars, you look at motorcycles, fashion, pens, like that's just kind of what they do. They're just extremely creative.
In order to find out whether or not something works, they just make it.
They just make it, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they're maybe not known as much for like the productionized quality control, like you would have in like Germany.
Their process is more, let's give it a shot and see. Yeah. And if that doesn't work, all right, we'll give something else a shot and see. They just keep on moving on. And
they're much fueled by passion.
And their release schedule is unlike anything from Germany or Japan as well.
Yeah.
They come out with stuff faster. And the stuff that they come out with, they're not just different colors of the same pen. Mm-hmm. They're completely different models.
For sure.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And you don't see that in Germany or Japan.
Not nearly as much, yeah.
No,
yeah.
Not even close. Yeah, we're talking completely different, like visual aesthetic, completely different,
they take more risks.
Silhouettes, yeah.
They take more risks, which is why, there are people that will have things to say about certain elements of a pen, or maybe they don't like the way it's designed or its quality of certain things here and there. But it's because they are pumping out all kinds of interesting things.
And they're doing crazy stuff.
Have maybe never done before. So they're taking
like
risks.
Stuntmen.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it works out and it's awesome though. Like that's, like, all right, what happens if I can how many cars can I jump over with my monster truck? Like, well, probably 17, but you can try 20. I'm going to try 20.
I'm going to try 20. We'll see. It might crash and burn.
Right.
But,
or it look sweet.
It would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why not try?
Resonates. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of all fountain pens, let's be real, but all three of these countries have amazing pens, amazing manufacturers.
They've all got superpowers.
They all have kind of their different flair. And, I think probably too, these days, especially as global as things are getting, there's a lot more influence that's happening across countries too. So it's probably less the case today that these are like strict rules and you can generalize very heavily. But, I think part of anything that's like, especially like fountain pens, it's such a, what's the word? Like a passion-fueled industry, not just for us as pen users, but the manufacturers too. Like they could shut down their pen manufacturing and go make, mufflers or catalytic converters or whatever. They could make other things and probably make more money.
Probably.
But they love it and it's fueled by passion. All of them share that, and I'm super grateful that we have a variety to choose from.
You came around really well on that one because you covered what they have in common first, but then you saved the best thing they have in common for last.
Absolutely.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
That's right. Stop clock can be right twice a day, right?
There we go.
All right, Drew.
Yes?
Got another question here from Hill Ari. Sailor Ink Studio Hidden Gems. I guess it's not a question. It's a statement.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this, Hill.
Unpunctuated statement. Yeah.
So in a way, all of them are hidden gems because it's notoriously difficult to have any of them, stay in your memory. It is for me anyway.
There's 100 colors.
Like numbers in my brain do not work, which is why my two favorites I had to rename, but we'll get to that in a second. So as far as...
Y'all know it. Some of y'all know it.
As far as hidden gems go, this one I think sells pretty well, so I don't know exactly how hidden it is. Even if one was popular, I wouldn't know it because the number doesn't stay in my brain.
Right.
So maybe this is popular, maybe it isn't. But I recently found out about it a couple months ago. Well, not a couple months ago. It was when I was doing the chroma shading video. This one I stumbled across.
year ago
And
or
it was
so?
amazing.
Okay.
So Sailor Ink Studio 173. This is my top pick for one you definitely need to check out, because a lot of Sailor's chroma shading inks live within. That's it. It lives within the same color category. Scroll through some of the alternate images, though.
Yeah, I
You'll
gotta see it.
You'll
It's
see
like
what I'm talking about.
a coral.
It looks like a
color.
peach. What it is really is pink and orange together.
Okay.
So it looks orange and then shades pink, or looks pink, shades orange.
Not
But it's-
necessarily what you'd consider, like most of the chroma shadings tend to be in that like blue,
Exactly.
teal, purple,
That's
green.
why this thing is awesome, because it's not in that same category. It's a completely different color. And I think that's a heck of an achievement. And it's super fun to write with, because it gives you that chroma shading. It gives you that dual shading, whatever you want to call it, without having to be the same old haha, neku whatever, which are lovely colors, that gray blurple. But this one does it with pink and orange. And I think that is fantastic and a lot of fun. So 173. I cannot remember the name of that, so I'm going to call it Pinko Range. Like Pinko space range, which is just pink orange together.
All right.
Pinko Range.
Pinko range.
Yeah, there we
All
go.
right, cool.
Pink orange.
All right.
Pinko Range.
Interesting.
Also, so my two favorites are 123 and 224. 224 is basically just a slightly darker version of 123, but I like them both. Rain Fluff is actually 123. Thunder Fluff is 224. So there you go. You can have that. Rain Fluff, Thunder Fluff, Pinko Range. You can keep that. My most recent discovery, though, is Ink Studio 162, which is kind of similar to Rain Fluff, aka
bit.
123.
A little bit.
But it's
it looks pretty different.
instead of it's kind of like an inverse. It's kind of like instead of it being
Right.
blue with a green halo,
like
it's like green with a blue halo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with blue or start with green? That's
exactly.
kinda where
There you go. So you can go start with blue. You can go 123, 224,
Okay.
Rain Fluff, Thunder Fluff, or start with 162 if you want to start with a nice emerald. But I say start with Pinko Range, man.
Interesting. So I'm looking at our website.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool. If you're curious about like a line of inks like this, again, we've got the filters on the side of our site. So if I go to select all colors, I can narrow it to Sailor. I can narrow it to the sub collection too with Ink Studio. And then it automatically defaults to best selling. So you can see what are the top.
Is Pinko
colors.
Range up there?
I think Pinko Range 173. That one would qualify probably as like a hidden gem. 'cause
Oh, look at me.
it's not near the top. The
Look at
other
me.
two you mentioned, 123 and 162, are literally 1 and 2.
162, really?
Yeah.
I just discovered that
162 is number 2
Holy
in the
poop.
best selling. This is for bottles at least. Yeah. It's funny. What was the other one? 123 and 2
224 is Thunder Fluff.
224. It's not up there.
Wow. It's
224.
basically the same as 123. Wow.
Maybe it's just too close. So
Yeah, maybe.
okay, well then 224. It's not even on page 1,
Golly.
Drew.
What about 173?
173.
Pinko Range.
I'm looking.
There it is.
173 is like halfway down.
Oh,
on
wait, it's out
page
of
2.
stock.
Is it out of stock?
So maybe it is up
Oh.
top. It just booted it down.
Oh, you know what? Okay, 240.
So-
yeah. Okay.
So 224 could be up at the top.
Yeah,
But
if
whenever
we're out of
it's
stock.
out of stock, it boots it all
dang.
the way to the bottom. So,
kind of out of a lot of.
so it doesn't.
We're out of a lot of Ink Studio actually.
Well, there's so many. We probably don't stock many of them at one
I
time.
don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot out of stock.
There's more out of stock than in stock.
Almost.
We shouldn't be talking about this, Brian.
Whoops. Sorry. Forget everything
Don't
that
buy
we're
this
saying.
ink. Don't buy any of these.
Yeah. This is clearly is not the ink for you.
We might still have them available as samples, though, so check those.
That's
Samples
true.
usually stay in stock longer.
Well,
than
we did
bottles
before
do.
we started talking about it now, Drew. Dang it.
Oh,
All right. Well,
enjoy your Pinko Range.
That's interesting. Okay.
What about you,
You got
Brian?
any more? Oh, is that all you got?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. Cool. I was looking at the questions this week talking about like the teal inks and then these hidden gems. I was like, Drew's going to have a lot of pictures to go and upload and
Or
put
I'm
into the Pencast this
gonna
week.
make them go look at it themselves because we don't want to sell any more of these.
Well,
No, I'll add them in
you
for
got
you.
at it. Okay. So I found some. I have no idea where these fall in terms of popularity. I just looked at ones that I thought looked cool. 943. It's a deep blue, kind of leaning purple. I don't know. Most of the ones that stood out to me, I don't know what it was, but were like what I would consider to be like work appropriate inks, like the darker,
Lame.
work safe ink.
That's not why you go Ink Studio, Brian.
But all right, so it's
Ink
kind of
Studio
like
has fun colors. If you want dark colors, go to Diamine.
Ink Studio has a lot of things, but I don't know. They also have a lot of other things outside of Ink Studio, like the Manyo and other series that are really fun too.
That's true,
So
but
for me,
they don't have a lot of saturated dark colors over there
for
either.
me, some of what stands out within the Ink Studio line are the darker, more saturated colors.
All right.
You know what I mean? So that's that to state my case. That's what I might actually consider more of the hidden gems.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Of the Ink Studio.
Okay, I see.
Does that make sense?
So
whereas outside of the line, they
Yeah.
might be, you know, another brand, you might look to those first, but I don't know.
You're probably not going to go to Ink Studio looking for the darker colors.
Right, exactly.
I'll agree
so they
with you
might be
there.
more hidden gems.
Sure,
So
okay.
I took a different approach to
That
it
is
than you
more
did.
well defined than a lot of your other answers. I'll
Thank
say
you.
that.
I totally thought of that ahead of time
I can
and
tell.
didn't just come up with it on the fly.
Definitely.
So 943, pretty nice looking, deep blue. 464 is a nice teal. Since had teal on the brain from answering the first question. 735 is a nice dark purple. I don't know. I like dark. I've always liked dark purple inks. I don't know why.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. And then this one's a bit of an oddball for me because I don't not normally that into olive greens, but every now and then some of them kind of grab me. But 967 is a really nice looking olive green. So yeah, those are some ones that I thought would probably maybe not come to the top of the list for the Ink Studio. But yeah, that's what I got.
Nice.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Ready for number 5?
I was born ready.
Question number 5.
Let's do this.
From Savory. What's your favorite ink bottle's shapes in terms of design and practicality? Ink bottle shapes, Brian.
Ink bottle shapes.
Practical ones
Practical.
that have
Yeah.
good design.
Yeah, Ferris Wheel Press would have to be the fairy tales, have to be top of my
Oh,
list.
definitely fairy tales. Definitely
Yeah.
the 35 mil diamond too.
Yeah.
Or 30 mil diamond.
Yeah, definitely.
So practical. I hate
love-
being able to put my pens
Yeah, I like-
inside of
It's overrated.
ink bottles. Yeah.
I want small openings.
Yeah. Clearly, we're not in this to have an easy time writing.
Exactly.
'Cause, you know,
exactly. It's got to be a challenge. I need as many obstacles as possible.
100%,
No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding. So Pilot Roshizuku.
No, of course.
Obviously.
All right.
It's beautiful too. So I don't know, in terms of design and practicality, I didn't know if design meant like aesthetics or design in terms of its use. I kind of interpret it as just like overall design, you know, so like part functionality, part how nice does it look?
Oh, yeah. I guess it could mean design, but
And-
also practicality, or both design.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't tell.
Oh, okay. I combined them for mine,
I
but you
couldn't
go
tell.
ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of went with both. I didn't pick like purely design because like there's some beautiful ink bottles that are not the most practical. Picking on Ferris Wheel Press, their bottles are beautiful, but some of that, and like Jeroboam, like the 30 mils, some of these come at the sacrifice maybe of some practicality, but they
Yes.
do look really cool.
Sure.
Those I'll steer away from a little bit. I went for ones that I think do look nice,
Mm-hmm.
but are definitely practical. Like even if they didn't look as nice, I would still like them for their use. Pilot Roshizuku, so it's very attractive. It's very sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nice wide mouth. The cap is very sturdy. I never feel like I'm going to crack the cap or anything.
Yep.
And it's got the indent at the bottom, so you can get a little further
That's
down
a
into
very,
the bottle.
very, very slight.
It's a slight indent.
Does it really make any difference?
It makes some difference, but
It's so tiny.
I don't know. Maybe that's more of an aesthetic thing. I appreciate the thoughtfulness to include that.
It does
And
look cool.
It does look
It
cool.
gives it a nice, like you
Yeah.
can instantly know.
It is functional, but is it wildly functional? No.
It would
Probably not.
be functional for a syringe.
Sure. Right.
You would
exactly.
it would allow you to get the very last tiny bit,
Yeah.
but not for a nib.
But I mean you could do that with syringe with really any bottle. You don't have to have an indent, you know. To
Yeah,
really
you'd
do
have to
it.
like tilt it though and get to that corner.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give the indent some credit, Brian.
It's maybe that's more aesthetic than anything, but I appreciate
Okay.
it.
It is a very cool bottle. And to be fair, you have used multiple complete bottles of a Roshizuku. So,
I have.
So I have to trust your opinion on this.
I really only have I think I have 3 ink colors that I've ever like killed a whole bottle and reused. Noodler's Black, because I use that for the Nib Nook. So I've killed a couple bottles of that. Iroshizuku Konpeki, because it's just I usually use a ton of that. And then Robert Oster Blue Water Ice.
I've always ruined my bottles before. You know, I've either left them uncapped and
Oh.
you know something like a piece of don't know, something fell in it, or I left it out by the sun, it got moldy, or I dropped it or spilled it and got mad at it or started to hate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Never finished an ink bottle.
Okay. Interesting.
No.
Interesting. I've done a few. Little side note here in the comments. What bottles of ink have you all completely used up and then bought again? So curious if you've ever done that. Let us know. Next one I have, this is an obscure one, but the Pilot blue ink bottle that comes with the custom 823. Mm-hmm. Now, I think in Japan that's available. But
what do you like about that?
In the US, it's a cool shape. It's got a nice wide mouth, and it's fairly deep. So it's got a very like sturdy base to it, but it's like
Is
rounded.
Deep good though? Like I thought that would make it more hard to fill a pen.
No, it's good because then, it's the same thing like with the Robert Oster bottles. It's not super narrow, or it's not super wide.
Right.
The mouth is wide enough, but the deeper it is, you can, continue to fill it. So especially if you have like bigger nibs, you can fill it longer than if you have like something really shallow.
Oh, I see.
What I mean?
I see. Yeah.
Because you don't need to tilt the bottle quite as much.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of that is like something like the Robert Oster. It's a little more top heavy.
Yeah.
So you have to like sort of like stabilize the bottle as you're filling or something like that. But I didn't put Robert Oster on here for some of those reasons. But that Pilot blue is pretty cool. Also, I like the Namiki bottles. They only have 2 colors, but the bottles are cool. They look cool. They look kind of like flying saucers, but I like it because they have an insert inside of them. I love inserts, and almost no one has them. Pelikan Edelstein, I think that's like kind of up there with the Iroshizuku for me. The bottles themselves are very attractive. I love the way they look, and I love the writing on them. It's not a label, but it's just like, I don't know what that technique is called, but the writing for the ink name and everything and the brand is on the glass.
It's almost like a silk screen or something like that.
Yeah, maybe it's silk screen. I don't know if that's officially the technique, but it looks awesome. And you never have to worry about staining it when you're filling. So that I love. And it's got those big chunky caps.
Yeah.
I love sturdy caps.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
The big old logo in the top too.
Yeah, it just looks really sharp. And it's practical. It's stout, that wide mouth. Now that one is a little like wider, not quite as deep.
Yeah.
So that one you're going to have to do some tilty action at some point or get a syringe out or whatever. But still, they are cool bottles. This is going to sound kind of weird. If we're going more in the design practicality, less in the aesthetics, the Lamy 50 mil, the T51 or whatever.
God.
Whatever is it called?
That's a horrendously ugly bottle.
It is definitely not winning any beauty contests.
No.
But what's so cool about it from a design standpoint
is
that definitely does have a usable indent in the bottom.
It does.
It's a little phallic. It looks a little odd if you ever take the bottom off of that Lamy bottle. It looks pretty weird. It looks like a spinning top almost.
Yeah.
But you can
phallic isn't what I would use there, but I get what you're saying.
You can fit a pretty good size nib deep down into that.
And it tilts itself.
You can get a really proper fill out of that for almost the entire bottle.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that practicality.
And it comes with toilet paper.
It comes with nib toilet paper, which no other brand does.
That's for sure.
Pretty interesting. Again, not the prettiest thing, but wildly practical. Sailor, they're 50 mil square bottles like you have with the Manos. I really like those. They're very attractive.
They're very attractive, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like a good thick bottom square bottle.
Yeah, and that's like a nice it's like a nice in between, not something too squatty and wide, but not something super deep that's going to be top heavy. It's just very like sturdy, solid, just looks really nice.
Cube.
Yeah, cubey. So I like that. And then kind of along the same lines, the Urban 50 mil like you get with the 1670 or the
very similar bottle, a little larger.
Similar square kind of bottle, but what I like about that is it's got the wax on the cap. It's got the little string with the wax seal on it. It just looks so classy, the wax seal on there.
It's very classy.
So I kind of like that as well.
Yeah. Just going particularly practicality based.
I just looked at your notes.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, no, I mean...
You have a theme.
I do.
You have a theme with yours.
Inserts. Nothing matters unless it has an insert. It's all garbage unless you have an insert. Every little bit of it, like you'll enjoy your first couple fills, but after a certain point, they're all miserable. They're all a challenge. They're all miserable. I ain't gonna fool with it. I'm gonna decant that into a sample. But what I do is every ink bottle I use, if I get a full bottle, it goes in my Namiki bottle.
Wow.
It goes in my Namiki empty bottle because it's got a little cup in there. The Namiki bottles, blue and black, have an insert, works great. The platinum bottles, the carbon bottles, the pigmented bottles, and the classic ink bottles, those all have inserts as well, so go with them. And the TWSBI 60 ml bottles all have inserts as well. They're great. That's what you need. If you want to buy them separately, you can at our store. They're like really cheap.
Yeah, because we make samples out of them, and then we have the bottles left over. So,
yep. And we will include we will include the inserts with them. We don't throw those away. So
yeah, unless Drew gets his hands on them, he'll hoard all the inserts.
I just had my one Namiki bottle, but
is that the only one you used?
That's the only one I used. Wow. It was once Namiki Black, and now it's whatever bottle I have.
What do you have in there right now?
Carbon Black.
Carbon Black.
Platinum Carbon Black.
Wow, you're really branching out hard.
Well, I always want to have black ink on my desk.
Okay.
Like that's what I want. I just, no matter if I'm testing a pen, like
Yeah,
that's
that
what
makes
because I have that flex pen I've been testing out.
Yeah.
So that's what I use with that.
Okay.
It's there for me. But then I also have my butter popcorn in my in the giant old school hand grenade Ferris wheel press bottle.
Yes.
So that's in there too. But those are the only
Nice.
No. And I have a bottle of SBRE Brown from Ackerman in my office.
Okay, that's a cool bottle.
It is a freaking cool bottle. I mean, that's the coolest bottle. If we're talking like cool bottles in the industry,
Is it the coolest?
absolutely,
It's up there
absolutely.
for
And Mont
sure.
Blanc's got a cool little bottle with a little nugget
boot.
thing, and yeah, that's a pretty cool one. But no, Ackerman, like easy,
It's pretty cool.
yeah, super cool.
Pretty cool.
So yeah,
Nice.
inserts.
You're an insert kind of guy.
But, yeah, honestly, Ackerman, if you grab one of those bottles, you reuse that with anything because that's the same principle.
Yeah.
Except you don't have to deal with a little dirty piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Boom.
Love to hear what ink bottles you all love too. Very interactive Pencast this week.
Talk to us.
Yeah.
We're lonely.
But you can also speak for yourself.
I am.
Email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if you are an audio listener. Let us know any questions you have or leave us questions in the comments and we will read them maybe. All right. We do not have a pen spotlight this week,
No.
but Drew came up to me earlier today and was like, maybe we should talk more about DC before we both forget everything that happened. I was like, that's a great idea. So
Because I've already forgotten. Yeah.
we are going to have a DC Pen Show highlight. We talked about it a little bit in episode 100, but we were also
We kind of didn't.
very
like
in the moment there, but now we've had some time to reflect. So we're going to talk about DC.
All right. So first of all, I think I don't know if we need to go me you, but we can just
just
chat.
talk. Yeah.
Huge freaking show, Brian.
It was a big turnout.
Like bigger than any DC show I've ever seen.
Well, how many have you been to at this point? You've been like 6 or 7 of them, maybe?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. You went last year.
Whatever. I remember the first. I think my first show was when Canalea first showed up onto the scene.
That was a while ago.
So
2016?
That's
Maybe?
probably it. Yeah,
That sound right?
It was
7
their
years
first
ago?
pen show, and I remember Rob Rosenberg still had Conklin at the time because I saw him there.
Is it Conklin?
Yeah.
He had Esterbrook.
Oh, maybe it was
Did he have-
Esterbrook.
Yeah, I don't think he had Conklin. I think he had Esterbrook.
Either way, yeah. So I remember he was there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Dan Smith there.
This is at the old
yeah,
hotel,
the old
too.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of context clues of how old it might have been, but anyway, no, it's been a while. So I've been to a lot of them. This
Been a
was
bunch.
easily the biggest.
Yeah. I heard, I don't know if this is official, I heard it was the biggest pen show ever, of any of them, including all the past DC ones. Numbers that I heard are not verified. There was something like 430 tables there. I don't know how many people rolled through the show, but it had to be several thousand because there was
massive.
a ton of people.
It was massive, and the lobby was hopping. Even during the day,
Really
it was
was.
full of people chatting.
Yeah.
At night, it was full of people chatting, and the lobby was so loud. We were there. We had lobby conversations throughout the entire weekend.
Yep.
And by Sunday morning, when we were supposed to do the Pencast, our voices were shot.
We were gravelly.
Gravel. It was, you're talking, tile floor, tile everything, big open space,
Oh, yeah.
so echoey.
Everybody's so excited and enthusiastic, and yeah. It was
Just yelling and yelling and yelling.
Yeah.
When I drove up, so you were already there. I drove up after work.
on
No.
the Friday.
Took
Yeah.
off a half day, I think, like that.
Yeah.
Drove up.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped to get some little packets of that Starbucks instant coffee because I didn't want to have to deal with buying coffee all weekend. Because
Okay. They had a little coffee maker in the room.
they did, which I used
little K-Cup
for
machine or
water. because they only give you like two K cups, and they don't give you any liquid creamer. It's that, either the stuff that never goes bad, which you don't trust, or the powdered crap.
Oh,
So I went to buy some of that, and I got some half and half too. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have decent coffee this weekend.
Wow, you're committed.
I am. It's my happy process. So I drove up there. It took me 3 hours to get there. In my AC in the 2009 CRV is only but so good. So it was not cold in there. And I'm just thinking this half and half is just gonna go bad before I get there. Yeah. And so I was concerned about that.
It can last several hours.
I didn't. Yeah, I was skeptical.
Wait, did you buy it down here?
Yeah.
And then drive up? Why didn't you just buy it up there?
Because I don't know where half and half stores are. Who knows if they even have half and half in DC? They don't even know what that is up there.
They literally have it.
I know.
At every convenience store,
I thought
every gas station.
It's only supposed to take like an hour and a half, Brian. So
on a Friday afternoon, though.
Yeah.
I
know. You drive to DC more than I do.
I do. I've been driving up there for 20 plus years.
I accounted for some traffic. I didn't account for like the massive construction that was taking everything down.
Right.
That was unavoidable. So anyway, I get there. I'm like trying to bring in all this crap because I had all the mics and the speakers and everything like that. So I'm unloading all this. But the first thing I have is this half and half. So I get in, I check in, get my room, but I'm immediately met with a bunch of people that are like, "Hey, Drew," I'm like, "I have half and half. I need to get in my fridge right now."
You're like an organ donor,
yeah, seriously. In my mind, I thought I was like there was a ticking time bomb that was just
this is curdling as we speak.
Yes, no. I thought it was like good, and then completely bad. In my mind, that's what was happening. So I'm just like freaking out, like gotta get my half and half to the room fridge.
Yeah.
And then once I did, I think I was just so tired because I was like stressing about it unnecessarily.
About your half and half. Wow.
I did, yeah.
Wow.
So I got it in there. Got it in the fridge.
Wouldn't it be funny? I didn't check. I know they had like a little a little convenience center.
Oh my God! If they had half and half there, oh jeez, don't.
I know they had a lot of drinks and stuff.
Don't even. No, there's
How
no
funny
way
would that
they
be,
did.
though?
There's no way.
How funny would that be if they had?
It wouldn't be funny at all, Brian. It would be tragic. So anyway,
right.
I did that. I
At
got
least
all the equipment.
You knew driving up there that you had your half and half.
I got all the equipment up to my room. I was so tired, but I was super excited to talk to everybody. So then I came down. I was like, "Hey, hello, we can talk now. Hi."
There you go. Did you have a coffee when you got there?
Completely frazzled. No, not immediately. I was hot. I was all hot and exhausted. No.
Iced coffee? I don't know.
I don't do iced coffee.
What? Why not?
Because I don't drink coffee for the flavor. I drink it for the warm coziness. I mean, I like the flavor, but I never.
It's like 90 some degrees out here right now in the middle of August in Virginia.
No.
He's wearing pants year round. He wears pants
and boots
or Converses.
Well, today I'm wearing boots. Yeah, but yeah.
You have a lot of coverage on your body, and you're drinking hot coffee like all day.
Yeah. Coffee's cozy. It makes me comfortable. It's soothing. It's relaxing. Yeah, okay. That was a thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Saturday morning, I got up and I had breakfast at the original Pancake House, is what they call it. So that was the first one ever.
First pancake house in the world. Wow.
I know. That's crazy.
How about that?
Right? I'm pretty sure it's a chain.
What an honor.
But
it's a chain. That's ironic.
I'm pretty sure there's more than one at least. But I went there with my friends Paul and Sandra, and I got myself some corned beef hash, which is just always amazing.
You do like some corned beef hash.
Yeah, it's always good. Yeah. So that was a nice beginning of my day, and then came back, and Saturday was
bananas.
Saturday,
it was
crazy, man. Absolutely insane.
I didn't see you on Saturday until like 1:30 or something like that.
No, we weren't texting at all. We were just like, I'm sure he's here somewhere. They were like, "Where's Brian? I think he's around. I haven't seen him." But
I had to meet with with Tatya, with Shujan, the founder of Tatya. She had some things to show me that
some
we'll
very cool looking
have
things
to show you pretty soon. So yeah, I went before the show officially opened. I went in there and talked to her. So yeah, I did that, and I was like, I didn't know if you were coming to that or what, but no, you were.
No,
you were corned beef hashing it up, I guess.
And I had a pre-arranged breakfast date.
Gotcha.
Scott knew. I think you must have missed that one.
Yeah, so there's so much going on. But yeah, that happened, and then it was just absolute madness for the show. And then I think I ran into 3 or 4 people that were like, oh yeah, I saw Drew. He's already, I ran into other people that had
Right.
seen you that morning, but I was like, I have no idea where he is.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We were
It's
divide
hard
and
to find
conquer.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I later found out that there were people that I would have liked to have seen there. They're like, oh, I missed you. I'm like, oh my God, you were there? What?
Yeah. It's just so difficult to get around and talk to everybody. Very cool.
Yeah. Any other highlights on your end?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I have like a whole thing
Or were you
I
gonna?
can do. Yeah.
No, I'm saying we
I
were.
didn't want to interrupt your like flow. If you,
Oh no, no. I
I don't know
figured
if you're going like chronologically talking.
No, I
about
said
your whole
earlier that
weekend.
we don't need to go. Drew,
Okay,
Brian,
we can
Drew,
bounce.
Brian.
We can bounce a little
Yeah,
bit. So yeah, I got there around. So I went up actually early because Rachel's family lives in the area. So we went up actually Thursday. Got a little family visit time in, which was nice, especially because I was going to be consumed with the show all weekend. So Rachel wanted to get some extra time with her family. She hasn't seen her parents much this year, and then it was nice for me to get to see anybody because I was going to be gone so much. So that was cool. So I arrived to the show actually around Friday, around 4:15 or so. So kind of towards the tail end of Friday. Met up with some folks. I got to do this writing analysis machine.
I did that too.
So Pilot had this machine. I've never seen anything like this. So it was like this blue machine. I got some pictures we can overlay.
Yeah.
Drew and I both did it. And it was a machine that analyzes your writing pressure,
Did you write that down somewhere?
your pen angle. Did I write it down? It's in the notes here somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I got pictures. We'll make it happen.
Right. I'm just saying if you wrote, I want to make sure that you wrote it down somewhere so I know to add a picture.
Okay. We're gonna Pilot.
Because I will totally forget that.
All right. I'll make it really big. Pictures.
All right.
Okay. I'll make it bold
Awesome.
and red.
Oh, there we go.
So did that. That was pretty neat.
What did you learn about your writing pressure?
Well, it was interesting. I was like, I want to do this machine because I've always spoken, as many of you know who've watched the videos, I've always said that I have sort of a heavy hand, but I don't know if that's actually true because I don't know how heavy everybody else's hand is.
I've never weighed any other hands.
Yeah. So they had, I don't know what the actual measurement was. It was very scientific. Like it was pretty official. So it measured the writing pressure with whatever the pressure unit that they used. And mine was, I forget what the number was. I have it written down here somewhere, but it was like 200 or something like that.
It was on the heavier side.
On the heavier side. It specifically said in there like heavy pressure.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, scientifically validated.
Yep.
And I think part of why Pilot actually brought that machine to the DC Pen Show is because they wanted to understand how Americans write with their pens, different than Japanese. So I think they're probably taking this machine all over the place. But, it's kind of cool to like, I'm a data point in their system. So
I think
that's
that
kind of neat.
I've seen, I saw a bunch of people use this machine. Myself, I think I got like a 150, something like that.
Yeah.
It was like they said
my pressure was more than yours. I know
they
that.
said that my pressure was more average to standard Japanese writing pressure.
Oh, okay.
But I
Which
saw
makes sense why you write with a lot of like Japanese finer nibs and stuff like that. And that's maybe why like I don't like them as much because I write with them heavier, more naturally.
But the writing pressure that I saw people use was all over the place. There were ones that were higher than Brian. There were ones that were far lower than mine. The pressure, I think, was incredibly variable from what I saw. But one thing that was very consistent was that all of the ones I saw had a pretty consistent 45-degree writing angle. Which
mine was a 50-degree writing
yours
angle.
was a little higher than normal.
Yeah, but it's tough because it was like
you only wrote your name, so it wasn't like a ton of data.
Yeah, and the pen that you were using, it had like this wire attached to it. So I may have been compensating for that. So it wasn't like totally a normal writing scenario.
Yeah, so I think that the average Japanese angle is higher than the average American.
I would
angle.
imagine so.
So they're probably going to learn some stuff about that for sure.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of their nibs are ground to perform better at a higher angle.
Yeah.
So,
right, because that's more common. Yeah. And then it had rotation too. So it told you how much I was 4 degrees rotated to the left, apparently.
Yeah, I think I was slightly rotated as well.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know what that means. 4 degrees doesn't sound like a huge deal to me, but again.
It's something.
Yeah. You're like at this show, at this table, and you're like handed this pen with this weird lead on it. So it's like, okay, like I'm trying to do this, but I don't know how like natural this is to how I would normally write.
Yeah.
But it's a data point, at least, that I've never had in my life about how I write. So I thought that was kind of neat.
What pen was it? Was it Vanishing Point?
No, it was like a 743 or an 823. It was like a bigger pen.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a solid color pen. I want to say it was like like a 742 maybe,
Yeah.
like a bigger size pen, but I think it had a flat top to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that was fun.
So we did that. That was kind of cool. What else? So then we went out to dinner, did some like networking with like, when I go to shows, I'm like, I mean, I love spending time with fans and other influencers and stuff like that, but a lot of suppliers and people that we work with want to try to link up and have business dinners.
Mm-hmm.
So that's normally what I'm focused on and coordinating in my kind of off time at the shows. And during the shows, I'm walking around. Basically, my whole focus at the show is like, I'm going to talk to everybody that, is a fan and recognizes me and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I know that like, okay, I'm at this table right now with, say, Yafa, and I'm trying to make it over to the Kenro table over there.
Which is right next to
Which
Yafa.
is like 20 feet away. And I'm like, okay, it's probably going to take me 20 to 30 minutes to walk after talking to people to like make it that far over. So that's sort of my strategy at these really busy shows is I kind of identify who are the like business relationships and people that I want to catch up on, because a lot of times they'll bring, sometimes they'll have things to the public that they're showing that are new that we've maybe seen in email blast, but we haven't seen in person. So it's like, oh, if I can see it in person, hold it, like that gives me a ton of context, and Drew, I know you do the same. And sometimes they may have things that are not for public display yet, but they're like, we have the thing that we can show you that is coming, but So a lot of times there's stuff like that I can sort of get the inside scoop on. So I'm trying to touch base with as many of our like business relationships as possible, with plenty of community interaction in between. So it's almost a little unfortunate for me because I don't really get to look at any pens. Like pens on tables that people have. There's all
DC
kinds
is not
of cool
the best
stuff.
place for that.
It's too busy.
Yeah.
It's too busy. I can do that at other shows.
Yeah.
Like I've done it at Atlanta and San Francisco and stuff like that. It's a little calmer.
Yeah.
A little more space, which is cool. But at DC, no, it didn't happen at all. I mean, other than like specifically the pens that were being shown from the ones that like we're going to be carrying, I don't think I really got to look at a single pen that, was just out on tables, because I was, no joke. So, there's that whole Friday night thing. I'll give you some chronology here of what my experience was like at the DC show. And I know this going in, and I'm excited by it. I'm excited by people. So I do get energized, but it is a lot. So Friday night, 4:15, talk at the show, have dinner, come back. I get back around 9 or something like that. And I was in the hotel lobby from 9 until about 1:30 in the morning talking to people. Got to see like Brad Dowdy, who I've seen at many shows and we've worked together before. Aziza, Gourmet Pens. I've never met her in person, which is insane. But I got to meet her on Friday night. It was awesome.
She was like,
she was very excited.
Yeah, well, she was like, hey, you need to introduce me to Brian. I'm like, Brian. She's like, no, I don't.
Like,
I was like, yeah, you do. No, I don't.
We never met
I was like,
before.
what?
She was very excited.
Oh, she's a
like,
delight.
Yeah.
She's just a human sunshine.
She was awesome. There's a lot of other people that I got to meet who, I'm going to leave people out, and I'm sorry, but I'll generalize. I got to meet a lot of cool like pen influencers, a lot of people who have podcasts and other things. Very, very cool. And then let's see here. A lot of just mingling, networking, that kind of stuff. Went to bed very late, woke up, got my breakfast at 8:30, ate. I literally like scooted off into like a corner and ate my breakfast because I was like, I know today's gonna be a lot, so I need to like get some sustenance in me and then go ham on the show. So pretty much from the time I went to go like talk to Tatya at 9, I did not sit down, go to the bathroom, take a break. I was literally standing, talking, listening from basically like 9 in the morning until 5:30 that evening. I did not take a break. I did not leave pretty much that main ballroom.
Why?
Because I was talking to people the entire
Well, so was I, but I still know how to break off conversations and take breaks.
I'm really bad at breaking off conversations.
You are.
I get really focused when I'm talking to people and everything else kind of cuts away. And so like, that's why I'm there.
Well,
I'm there to see people and talk to people.
Well, I am too, but I also know that I need breaks to function.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I don't need breaks to function. I can go, I'm pretty much like I'm like, to go with I don't know if this is a Marvel or a DC.
Juggernaut is Marvel.
Juggernaut is Marvel. Okay, so I'm like Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Like once I get going at a show like this, like I don't really think about eating. I don't really think about going to the bathroom or anything. as long as stuff's happening and there's people and all that going on, like I'm in the moment and I'm there.
No, I have to take breaks.
So,
And
yeah.
you know, and no, like it was easy to, you know, every conversation came to a natural close. And everybody was really respectful. If someone was kind of like hovering, like wanting to chat,
Sure.
you know, people were like, okay, well, I'll let you go and I can talk to somebody else. And
Yeah.
so no, it was pretty good. And I do know that I need breaks to function.
Well, you're surprisingly introverted.
Yeah.
So you need that.
I'm in
time.
my happy place for sure, but
Yeah.
it still does take stuff out of me. So
Oh, yeah.
that was one reason I wanted to get some good coffee, because I go upstairs, sit on my bed while the hot water is brewing, because then I use the water, but
Right.
sit on the bed and just breathe, get the coffee, go back down. You know, just it's
That's
only
good.
it's
That's
like
healthy.
It's like 10 minutes.
That's
you
a
know?
healthier approach than what I do at
It's
shows.
not much. Well, yeah, I'm
like there.
This
I'm
is
like,
my 4th show of the
like,
year. You know,
yeah.
number 5's coming up next week. So
True. At a show that's not as busy, I would take more breaks and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like DC for me is like it's like the Super Bowl.
yeah, you got to
of
get it
networking
in.
and
Limited
meeting
time.
people.
Yeah.
So it's like I know eating, sleep, comfort, it all comes secondary.
Yeah, I will say I did skip lunch. I didn't have a lunch, but I had a.
I ended up my lunch on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was hanging around the Yafa, who is like Monteverde, Conklin, all them. They had like ordered a pizza or something. And I just happened to kind of be nearby, and they were like, "Hey, we've got plenty. Like, grab a couple slices." And I was
There you
like,
go.
"Actually, that's really convenient." So I had
Yeah.
a couple of slices of pizza
Yeah,
while
no,
standing up.
I had a pretty solid breakfast, you know.
Yeah.
So I skipped lunch, but had a really good dinner.
Nice.
Went out with Aziza and Brad, and you know,
That's awesome.
some of Aziza's podcast buddies and her friend Sim, who's just a delight.
great.
So yeah, we shared an Uber with Brad and had great conversations. So yeah, no, that was fantastic. The more time I can spend with those folks, the better, because they're amazing
They're
people.
good people.
Absolutely.
Then so for me that Saturday night, then after the show, I was meeting up with Brian and Andrea Gray.
Mm-hmm.
We've had in the past the tradition at DC, like ever since we did like the premiere, like they were our first collab, like exclusive pen that we ever carried was Edison. So early on, we established a tradition of going out to dinner, like me and Rachel and Brian and Andrea. So we did that, but they haven't gone to the DC show in like 5 or 6 years. Because they had conflicts and all this kind of stuff, but it was the first one that they were back. So we were like, let's go out to dinner again. That would be really fun. So we did that. Rachel didn't actually attend the show. She really wanted to spend time with her family, and this show would have just been way too much for her.
Broken her.
It would have been too much for her.
I mean,
So-
I remember you know, when the DC show was in the old hotel, she would still need to take hotel room breaks.
Oh yeah.
Like she would, you know, say, nope, I'm done. Need to go up to the
Well,
room for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, that's part of so her family lives in the area. So we used to not get a hotel room. We would just stay with her family and drive back and forth to the show. But it got to the point where like she needed breaks, so we would get a hotel room partly so that we could just have a break room for her. And then it was like, well, it's more convenient for me, especially because I'm like a night owl and I'm like, I want to talk to people in the lobby. So it was like, I'll just get a room and when we go to the show, I'm like, I will disappear from the family, be at the show 100%. And when the show's over, I go back to the real world.
Yeah, it's so great.
just easier that way
Like
for
whenever I needed, there was one time, you know, as soon as I just stopped freaking out about my half and half, I saw my friends Jim and Rachel Crawford just chilling outside the lobby. And I just plopped down right next to them. I was like, hey. They're like, hey. And I was just like, you know, you don't talk to people for, you know, months, sometimes more at a time. But, you know that they're familiar. You know they're friends. And you don't have to, you know, I'm at the point now where I don't have to be on, you know, for anybody. I can just be like, just chill. No, you know, and it's great to have these community members like that and these, you know, pen friends that are just so welcoming and comfortable to be around.
Well, and it's like you've said before, it's easy going to these shows because, you know, especially for you and for me too, like we put ourselves out there on things like this. So people already know a lot about us.
Yeah.
So it like makes like conversation entry points so seamless.
It's great. How are the dogs?
People
Great. Let me
understand
tell you, you know, it's just
exactly
seamless. How's Shannon's show going? Pretty good. You know, it's just, and I love that. It's like half the work's done for you already.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Came back from dinner with the Grays, stayed in the hotel lobby again until about
And we missed each other
2 a.m.
at that point, didn't we?
I saw you, but
Yeah.
you know, there were Saturday night, there were probably 150 people in the lobby. Like it was hopping.
So loud.
So
I finally went up when I started losing my voice.
Okay.
Because I was like, I have
to talk.
Yeah, I have to
for my
talk tomorrow
job.
morning. So yeah.
I didn't worry about that. I was like, I'm just going to be a gravel
I think I
box.
went up about midnight because I was like, it was getting to be painful because I was talking all day, and
Yeah.
I probably could have been more quiet. I'll tell you that.
That's an understatement.
So yeah, I had pretty much exhausted all of my
fair.
guttural resources that day.
Yeah. And then, I could have gotten more sleep, but whatever. And then for breakfast on Sunday morning, you and I actually met up together.
Yep.
And we were like tucked away, like hidden from everybody because we were like, we just need to recoup before we go do this Pencast.
I mean, that's just where they sat me in the restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't pick it.
Oh, okay.
But it just happened to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you and I both were just like, have you lost your voice yet? And you're like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, all right. Well, we're just going to do the Pencast like this, I guess.
Yeah. Luckily, by the time the Pencast rolled around, we were pretty well recovered. So
Yeah. Got some food in us. And,
Yeah.
I had plenty of cough drops in my backpack,
yeah.
as you all know, from a couple weeks ago when I pulled out all these cough drops.
Yep.
I threw out all the ones that are expired, though. All
And
current
the
cough
Pencast
drops.
went well. As you saw, the audio was
did.
good. The video quality was pretty darn good considering overhead fluorescent lighting. Big thanks to Brian and Adrian who helped us set up and take everything down and were there managing the Q&A portion and the audio levels of the PA system that we brought.
Yeah. I'm really glad they were there.
Yeah, they were
Because we had some
helpful.
technical stuff that we were figuring out. We had this like app that we were trying to use to ask, have people ask questions real time, but there was just stuff that we couldn't test for. Like the app that we were using, because the whatever was on the hotel Wi-Fi, which was like an unsecured connection, the app was like,
Who knew?
nope.
A basement
They're
hotel
like,
Wi-Fi
we will
connection
not allow
wasn't
you to
good.
use this app on this Wi-Fi. And we were like, okay.
Didn't anticipate that.
So thankfully, the folks at the DC show, they knew we were going to be there. They had like a mobile hotspot thing, so they hooked us up with that.
That was probably the biggest
That
hiccup.
was the biggest hiccup, yeah.
And just so everybody knows, everybody that was there got one of these stickers, which is the Corgi Kaiju sticker.
Which is great.
I will have a few of these in San Francisco. If you were at the San Francisco Pen Show, I do have some of these extra. So, flag me down. I'll throw one at you.
Nice. I'm surprised you have any left, honestly.
Yeah, we
'Cause you
gave
were
them
giving
out.
out a
We
ton.
gave out over 100.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. I gave out.
You gave
probably.
out.
Yeah, I probably
gave
gave
out
out
like
like
50
couple dozen. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Very cool.
But no, I wanted to just kind of run down a list of people. I know I'm going to miss some folks because I saw so many, but I did, see a lot of people that I did want to shout out. So we did get to see our old buddy Jade Twiler. It was nice to see him again. Finally met our friend Jane up in the front row. Finally got to meet Natalie. Got to meet Rob. I met Tom from Gold Spot. Always nice to see the dudes from Heinz Pen Company. I chatted about the Witcher books with a nice lady named Lauren from a page called Ink Witches. Nice. April Wu was at the April Wu table. Love seeing her. Mark Dwight from Rickshaw was there. Chatted with him. Jonathan Brooks, Mark Bacchus, of course, Brian and Andrea Gray.
Yep.
Got to see Evan and Julian from Penquisition. They're always delightful. Of course, Ian Schoen, Mike Madison right next to him. Got to see Marty Henderson and all of his retros. My friends Oscar, Brian, Jim. Like I said, Jim and Rachel, and our friend Dan, the unofficial science correspondent of the comment section.
Yes.
And then Kimberly was over there, and my new friend Michaela was there. So I just so many. Those were just the first ones that popped into my memory as I'm trying to write down some notes here. But there were so many people and so many names. My friend Drew was there. I got to see him. He's just a delight. And man, just too many to mention, too many to think of a name, but all equally delightful. So thank you all, anybody who I got to speak with. It meant the world to me. Like we won't rehash. We said a bunch of gushy, cheesy words during the Pencast last week, but Brian and I, just the two of us earlier today, were just absolutely overcome with joy and humbled to the point of speechlessness at the fact that we have the opportunity to do this with you right now here, to engage with you in real life and to have you there now, like that we know you're there, and it is so incredibly valued by us, and we can't put it into words, but we try every now and then, just the two of us just being overcome with appreciation for you and
for sure
what you give us here, because I know that you're like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. You're giving something right back.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to sell pens. We wouldn't be able to talk about pens if you weren't giving us your support every day. So we are immensely grateful for you and everything you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was reminded of that because this is the first in-person event that I'd done in 4 years. And, this is the first in-person event I've done since we started the Pencast. And like, since you and I have really been working as closely together in video, like you've been in videos before, but it wasn't the same as it's been since COVID.
Yeah, right.
So that was a whole new element to me. And just getting reminded, again, of like the actual people who are, in this community. That's the thing I love the most about going to a show. There's a lot to love about going to shows. It's a huge hassle to get there and do the whole thing, but at least for us, there's so many amazing things that we get to pull out of it. And I was just reminded of that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I love going to this. Right. So that was really cool. Plus my kids are a little older now and it's not like as burdensome to be gone for a couple of days. So that's really nice too, But what was really cool, after just going hard the whole show, and I was there till the end on Sunday too. I know you drove home, like after lunchtime. I stayed at the show because like basically we did our Pencast at like 11 o'clock. We finished around noon. And then afterwards there were all these people that wanted to like come up and say hi, which is great. So I was like, unless they kick me out of the room or unless everybody else leaves, I'm going to stay here and talk to everybody that went out of their way to be here.
Yeah, I was waiting past that.
Absolutely. So it was like 2 hours straight after the Pencast that we were just talking to people. And we thought like, oh, we'll like split up across the room. We can have Drew, we can have me. And then that way, people are in a rush or whatever, they can just see one of us and go. But pretty much everybody like saw one of us and then like went over and saw the other one. So, I mean, there were some people that waited like almost 2 hours, which is amazing to me, just to meet us. I'm like, I'm glad it was worth it for them, but I'm like, would I wait 2 hours to meet me? Probably
nope.
To meet Drew. No, but it was a huge honor. And then immediately after the last person that I was wrapping up with, I had one of our suppliers out there waiting for me. He's like, I got to show you this pen, and immediately took me right back up into the ballroom.
And that's about the time I abandoned you.
And you abandoned me, and that's fine because you had all the equipment and everything. But I was like, whoop, right back up there. And then I was in the middle of the ballroom, like at the back. And I was like, well, I guess I'm here until it all shuts down. Because
well, we ended up talking with, that's when we ended up talking with Krusek and Jim Heinz and all that.
Exactly. So that was really great.
And then I left for good.
Then you left, yep. And I stuck around until basically 5:30.
Yeah, my son was being watched by my mom, so I needed to get home because my wife had 3-4 shows that weekend, so we had to get him watched by 2 different people.
Oh my gosh.
It was a bit of a
So it was a bit to coordinate.
Yeah, it was. Luckily, Shannon handled all that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was really cool for me, so after all that, that's when it sort of hit me, and I was like, okay, now I'm tired. As soon as I left, so I like drove back, and I was like, kind of just taking in the whole weekend. And I get back, we're at my sister-in-law's. So like my kids and their cousins got to play together. So I get back there and I'm just like kind of unpacking my stuff and whatever. I'm kind of in a daze, but my kids come out and then my niece and nephew come out. Like all 4 kids came out, like not even putting shoes on. They just all came out and we're like, Uncle Brian, and it was like, I don't get a reception like that normally from the kids, or like often when I travel, I'm like coming back at like, if I'm flying somewhere, especially I'm coming back at like 11 at night and it's like, my kids might wait up for me, but it's not this big reception. But to have like 4 kids like jumping up and down and all this kind of stuff, I was like, well, this is cool. So it was like riding the high of the show and then coming home to my family. I was like, this is pretty great. And then we all went out to like hibachi together. Nice. And that was fun and memorable. So just all around great weekend for me.
One, we did get a couple comments on YouTube about Q&A 100 or Pencast 100. The hilarious joke I made about you bringing logs with you to cut, about asking whether or not you brought some travel logs.
Travel logs, yeah.
Apparently, they think that would make a good sticker. So
travel logs.
I picture you in some red and black plaid with like just 2 logs tucked under your, just walking with your cargo shorts, going on a little adventure, but making sure you have your logs with you just in case.
I like it. Travel logs. I dig it.
Let's see. We've got about 15 minutes until 2 hours. So why don't we wrap this up and then move on to what's happening?
We can wrap it up. The one thing I will say to kind of wrap this up, so it was really cool. Even though Rachel wasn't there, she was able to see on like social media and stuff, everybody who was like taking pictures with us, tagging us. I must have taken 100 selfies, and I've got the freakish long arms. Yeah, and people got to see that in person. Like I'm like a human selfie stick.
I always people got me to hold the phone too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So it got to the point where like, especially when we're like in a line, like meeting people, it was like, all right, give me your phone.
Yeah.
Like I'll just do the thing. And it was pretty funny. But Rachel got to see like all the people like taking pictures and tagging. So she got to like get a little bit of the sense of what was happening at the show. But my daughter, who's 11, and it's not on social media, but she was seeing like what Rachel was looking at. She really latched on to the people that were like, oh my gosh, I got to meet the Brian Goulet in like all caps. So as soon as I get back, Ellie's like, oh my gosh, it's the Brian Goulet. And so that's our thing now, that she's like, ooh, look at that, that kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
it's like a little inside family joke there. So they got a kick out of that.
nice.
Anyway, very cool.
Cool.
And then I crashed hard
Yeah.
and got a little sick and kind of
I was
muddled
sick.
through it.
I was sick all week. I got a cold, tested negative for COVID several times, but it was a very common thing. A couple people
Yeah.
I think did get COVID, but a ton of people got a cold.
Yeah.
Like I talked to probably a half dozen people that got the same, just con
I don't-
crud.
I don't know if I actually had a cold or if I just went so hard and
Yeah.
didn't get sleep and all that kind of stuff that like
Well,
just
I'm sure that
depleted myself.
Yeah, I'm sure that like you are more susceptible to illnesses
Oh, for
when
sure.
you exhaust yourself. So
For
I'm sure
sure,
that
for sure.
that had something to do with it.
Combination of the thing. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely had something. It was the standard, like, feeling ill and then cough and then congestion and then, everything else
headaches.
fine.
And that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, very cool. Anyway, it was a blast. Sorry if you weren't able to go there, but if you can make it to a pen show, if it's not wildly inconvenient, it's an experience no matter which show you go to. So I highly recommend it. All right. Well, there you go. We've talked a lot about what's happening, but outside of the show. So since the
Right.
pen show, Drew, what's been happening
What's
in your
been
life?
happening?
Yeah.
I got sick after the DC show. We covered that.
Yeah.
I will say that Crystal, one of our team members here, gave me this, which you saw.
Yes.
This is a patch that I will put somewhere. My
Fantastic.
jacket's running out of real estate, but it's a patch with the Dots candy logo on it.
Yes.
And when I saw this, she was handing it to me, I thought immediately she was trolling me. I'm like,
Yeah.
you get that out of here. I'm not putting that anywhere on my bag or jacket or person. But then I noticed that it has a cross, like a no cross.
like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Anti-dots.
Through it. So this is a no dots, anti-dots.
That is such a customized,
I know.
personalized
She had it
patch.
made. She had it made. Her friend has an embroidery machine. She had it made for me. So
That's awesome.
yeah, this is very, very pleasing. So I wanted to share
Your
that.
jacket was a hit. You really pulled it off. It's really coming together.
I ordered 2 new ones this
Really?
week. Yeah.
2 new patches
2
or
new patches.
jackets?
No, I don't need 2 more jackets.
Oh,
I've already got
okay.
like 6.
Gotcha.
5. But
it's really coming together.
yeah, I ordered a. I
This
don't
was
know.
at the DC show. He wore the jacket. It's the first time I've seen the jacket.
Yeah.
We've talked about it all the time, but I hadn't actually seen it. And then I saw him in it, and I was like, "All right,
Yeah.
really pulling it
Take
off."
care of business.
Yeah.
So I ordered. There's a Ghostbuster patch I'm going to put right here. Not
Nice.
not the Ghostbusters This is the knockoff Ghostbusters
Oh.
that was like from Filmation.
Oh. Okay.
It's kind of a long story, whatever.
Okay.
But it's going to test the true nerds out there. If anybody knows what this patch looks like, they're a real one.
There you go.
And then I ordered another one that's like a pixelated ham, like what you'd find like if you're playing Castlevania and you like
Yeah.
break a wall and like, good, meat, and you walk up
Yes.
and your health goes up. Like I just love that so much. It's a small one too, so I can fill in some of the gaps that I have because it is pretty full.
Yeah.
But it just makes me so happy because I think of like a vampire hunter going through Dracula's castle, just like whacking a chain whip into a couple, stone walls and
And that
finding
meat
a
comes
bone-in ham on a
Yeah,
plate
that's right.
and being like, yeah, this is what I knew. I knew this was in here. Just eating it, and then all of a sudden, like all of his wounds get healed, and it makes me so happy. That's why I included a meat in the 8-bit inventory pen.
Yes.
This makes me very, very
Of
happy.
course.
So anyway, that one's coming. I did get to see my wife's show finally. She's in a musical right now, and got to attend that on Saturday. That was delightful. She always downplays it. She's like, oh, it's okay, but I thought it was fantastic. It did have the first act was kind of like, ho hum, but then the second act was hilarious. It was, a very, specific. It's called Honky Tonk Laundry, so it's a very specific.
Okay.
If the people that go there are gonna know whether or not it's for them. So they got the right people in there just because of the name. It's like Fast and Furious. Like you're already going to like it if you're showing up for it. Like
Sure.
you know what it's going to contain. But anyway, everybody laughed their butts off. And then when it came time for the audience participation aspect in the second half, that's when people really started cracking up. But I know
nice.
that she had been struggling to find the one person she needs to bring up on stage every night. Because sometimes there's just not a good one. And she used the first half to kind of like scan to see like anybody that they need to be in the front-ish row or easily accessible. They need to not be super old and capable of getting up on the stage.
Yeah.
They need to look like they're having a good time. And sometimes it just is so distracting to her, so panic-inducing for her. And I know that she would enjoy it and appreciate it more than I would feel awkward if I just,
Were you that guy?
I told her, I was like, yeah, you can use me. That's fine.
Wow.
Because I knew that I'm like, oh my God.
That is life-giving right
this is
there.
gonna be terrible for me. But if I can do this for her and have her not have to worry about choosing somebody that's not gonna be all awkward, be like, no, thank you. Oh, come on, get up. No, seriously, no, thank you. Like it's awkward and uncomfortable. Like she doesn't want to do this, but it's part of the show,
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the.
So you were the plant.
I did
you were
the
the
thing.
plant in the audience.
I did the thing, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it was so funny. You looked so awkward." I'm like, "Yeah, because I was."
The awkwardness is real. That's great. That's great.
But everybody was like, "Oh, you did a good job. No, you did really good." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you. They could tell that I was suffering."
It's funny. He'll sit here and do this like week after week.
Right. Well,
but then getting up in like a small theater.
Yeah.
In front of a bunch of strangers.
That was another justification for it, because I'm like, honey, she's like, thank you so much. I know this is uncomfortable for you. But like, I just did like a live event with 100+ people in it.
Right.
If I had said no to this, I would be such a hypocrite. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it. But everybody was like, oh my God, do you know her at all? I'm like, yeah, I'm married to her.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, you look so uncomfortable. I'm like, I was like, well.
Oh, that's great.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of a talent of mine.
To be fair, your wife is really good at making you uncomfortable.
Oh, she was hamming it up too. She's like, normally I don't like touch people that much, but she like was like grabbing me by the face and be like singing to me like that. She's like, buh, buh, buh.
I could totally see.
Oh
her
yeah,
doing
she was really screwing.
Oh, that's
with me.
great. That's great.
But so that was fun. And then took Archer to see the Ninja Turtles movie on Sunday.
Oh, how was that?
We both really enjoyed it.
I've heard it's good.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Very, very different, obviously, but not different in a bad way. Just, fresh take. And I appreciate that. I told him when we were leaving that they need to have Casey Jones in the next one.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, yeah, they definitely need to have Casey Jones. Because he's seen the first movie from 1990 with me.
Okay.
At least, I think he's probably seen it twice with me. But it's been more than a year ago, maybe 2-3+ years. So, but as soon as I said that, he starts quoting a line from Casey Jones from the 1990, Jim Henson puppet,
Wow.
Ninja Turtles. He's like, I hate punkers, especially bald ones with green makeup. I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. Oh, my son.
Wow.
I'm so proud of you.
Fun fact.
Ninja Turtles.
Fun fact, that movie was the first movie I saw in the theater.
Oh, such a good one.
Ninja Turtles, yeah.
It's such a good one.
It was good. It was good.
So yeah, that was delightful. We went over a friend's house on Sunday. Took Archer swimming because Shannon was at another show. Went swimming with him. We just had BLTs for probably like 10 people, which is great because I had a crap ton of tomatoes. So I brought probably a dozen tomatoes and they used them all. So we got to use all my tomatoes. So far, no tomato has gone to waste, which I appreciate.
That's great.
That's always good to hear. I worked on Archer's costume, of course, working on that. I need to, get some straps, like, some nylon, webbing and some buckles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm debating between just ordering a bunch of straps and buckles off Amazon or going to a dollar store and getting a bunch of like cheapo backpacks and backpacks and like ripping those apart.
Like cannibalizing them for parts.
Yeah. But that seems more wasteful. And I don't want to do that. I'm not going to. So I don't know. Got to work on that. That's the next step, though, is kind of like strapping it all together, or maybe painting it. I guess I should paint it first. Anyway, that's an ongoing.
I just love your
process.
notes here. Your bullet point says, "Used up most of my tomatoes and went swimming."
Yeah,
just like I love your notes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then I just wanted to share a moment that I had. So we shot some videos this week.
We did
on Monday, and they're going to be awesome. So get excited. But
yeah.
I was working down to the wire. So I was in the warehouse pulling products for those videos, and I had minutes until, we actually needed to start filming. So I was a little stressed, just kind of panicking. I waited till last minute because, they're on the shelf. I don't want to have to take them offline. I just want to borrow them for like 30 minutes and put them back.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had my list and I'm checking off my list, writing things down for my list. And every time I move to one product, take it down, and then write it down, it was like that the stress of me searching and getting just took a break as soon as I started writing with my fountain pen. And because you have to take your time. Like,
yeah.
I unscrew the cap. It wasn't a quick draw pen. It was a pilot, and I unscrewed the cap, and it gave me this serenity that broke up my little stressed panic, darting back and forth around the warehouse that I so very much appreciated. Because it was go get a product, write it down. Go get a product, write it down. And every time, it's like my stress was never allowed to reach a certain point because it was like a meter going into the red, but it would bounce. It would go back down to the green every time I picked up my pen because it forces you to take your time and be intentional. And
it's like a grounding, exercise.
It really is. And I've noticed that. I noticed it then a lot, but then when I think about it. Anytime I just stop and take a note at work, which can be stressful sometimes, but the fountain pen always just brings you back down a little bit. And I never really knew how much it affected me until that moment. And then, so now I'm like, oh, of course it does. But in that moment, it was doing it a lot.
You're just like very aware of it as it was happening.
Because it was a very extreme example. Because I was darting around like a crazy man. And I was just in that moment very, very thankful for that, and very, very thankful that I discovered them and that I'm applying them to everyday life, and thankful for how they affect my anxiety level.
Interesting. Ironically, here you are running around grabbing fountain pens off the shelf.
The fountain pens are causing me stress.
They're both causing and relieving your stress.
Exactly.
Such a yin and yang kind of a situation, right?
Yeah, but that's pretty much what's been going on with me.
Nice. So yeah, I definitely crashed after the DC show. I gave everything I had to be there, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
But I was kind of a lump after that.
Yeah. You didn't take a day off though until later in the week.
So I didn't work officially on Monday.
Okay. Yeah.
I did check in, and
I worked a
do
half
some
day on
things.
Monday. I was just beat.
Yeah. I was driving back home with my family in DC traffic, which was its own work. And then we got home and it was laundry and the whole works because we had just been on like a family trip for 5 or 6 days or whatever it was. So we had all that stuff to deal with. And then, we needed groceries and all this thing. So all the things of coming back from being out of town, that's what we had. So yes, I technically didn't work, but then we had somebody coming to visit us. We had a visitor, a supplier of ours come before DC because, they might be anywhere in the country. So we had, if ever there's an opportunity for them when they're around to visit us and get to see our stuff, cool. We try to do that, but it always gets crazy around the DC show because we're close enough to DC where people reach out and want to visit. So we had a visit before the show and after the show. So I was already like, okay. And then we're starting the work week and then we go right into a vendor visit and I was like, oh, okay. So that was a lot. And then, so I don't know. It took me a little bit to recover. It took me like most of last week to really kind of recover. And like you're kind of the same way. It was like you came in and was like, I need to take a half day today. And I was like, I totally understand.
Yeah, you ended up taking one full day off. Yeah. And then I ended up taking like multiple half days. Yeah.
But it was great. It's totally worth it. But it's totally a lot to cover from. So yeah. And then something funny that happened. So I hadn't thought about this in a long time, but for whatever reason, I don't know if you're familiar with Homestar Runner.
Of course.
So
we quote him regularly. Just yesterday, because we've started calling our youngest dog Felix, who's absolutely the most adorable one we have.
Yeah.
Just to be ironic, we just started calling him Ugly. And then, of course, there was a Teen Girl Squad skit where one of them is the ugly one. So we just call him the ugly one.
Yeah. So Rachel and I have memories in college of Homestar Runner and being super into that. And strong bad emails. And all that. I had not really thought about it, and I definitely hadn't watched it probably since college or maybe shortly thereafter. But for whatever reason, it came up, and I was like, I don't know that my kids know these references at all. And it's like, I don't know how you feel, but like as many streaming services as there are now, like my kids watch like the Garfield show and like the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Like they've seen a lot of the old shows that I watched as a kid, like the actual original ones. So like they're very familiar with a lot of like the things of my own childhood. But this was something that like both Rachel and I will throw things out from that every now and then, but my kids have no idea where it comes from. So I was just like, it's probably out there on YouTube or whatever. So I found a bunch of this and showed it to my kids, and they friggin' loved it.
Yeah, we also do so good.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. The system is down.
Yeah.
And all these things. So just all these little references that
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't realize how much Rachel, because Rachel and I have been together now for 22 years. So our references can go back a ways.
To several internet generations
Yes,
of comedy.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool, just like getting to show that to my kids. And like I'm having flashback nostalgia with Rachel while also making new memories, introducing my kids to it. And it was just like, this is after coming off of the show and everything. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so
We
many
did that
things.
recently with Archer. We introduced him to Brack from Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Okay.
And I don't think he thought it was as funny as Shannon and I did, but
Sure.
he got a couple laughs in.
Well, that's what I expected too. I was like, I hadn't seen Homestar Runner in a while. And
Yeah.
I was like, it's probably going to seem really dumb. And a lot of it is really.
Oh, yeah.
But
No dumber than what kids
was
think is
some-
funny now, though.
right. But my kids thought a lot of the stuff was really funny.
Yeah.
So it's like they were legitimately like laughing and stuff.
Yes,
So
yeah, we've shown him Trogdor before.
yes, they loved that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Trogdor the Burninator.
Burninating the peasants.
Yeah. I think it's still going. I think they're still making
amazing.
Homestar Runner.
That's
It's been
awesome.
going for like a couple decades. Respect.
Yeah, that's
Respect.
absolute respect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember then what happened. So we had the vendor visit thing on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I had a full day offsite leadership planning, like strategy session.
Oh, so that's
that
what
was-
killed you probably.
It was like,
And you
DC
took a day
show
off after
and
that. That was what did you in.
I took the morning off on Thursday because I had nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, I thought you took the whole
all
day.
No, I
okay.
just kind of, my body told me I needed to take the morning off by making me fall asleep on the couch.
Okay.
Yeah, so that happened. But then this past weekend, Rachel and I celebrated our 17th wedding anniversary.
That's right. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you very much. So yeah, we were together for about 5 years before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been together 22-ish years, almost 22 years. And then, been married 17. So
That's amazing.
we like pulled out the wedding album and looked at the pictures with our kids. And now we're like, well, that person's dead and that person's dead and they're divorced and that, it's like, gosh, kind of a lot's happened in the last 17 years. And we're like, ooh, I really do look older than I did back then, way more than I remember I used to. But then we went out to a nice dinner. We went to the mall, walked around, didn't find anything to buy.
A short pump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just went. It
No,
was
you don't really
kinda
buy
odd.
anything there.
Yeah. It's funny because like we had like a wedding memory because I think we'd gotten like a Crate and Barrel gift card from like a family member when we got married.
Crate Barrel's always fun to look in, but you never get anything.
We went in there and Rachel and I are like wildly pragmatic.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to home decor. The like Target birds are about the only thing that Rachel like kind of like will just buy as decor. Most everything else it's like we don't have really any style or design.
Yeah, no, we were just
neither of us really care.
I was just telling you yesterday how about my wife is a cereal diva and won't buy off-brand cereal, and you're like, nah, man,
I was
bags
like,
of cereal.
Yeah,
all
we were
day
talking
long.
about how much cereal costs, and I was like, yeah, I just started buying generic, or I buy like the bag of like. My kids joke because it's like we don't buy like Fruit Loops; it'll be like Tutti Fruities or something like that, and all the like stupid off-brand
That's
names.
what I had growing up, but no.
I grew up with a lot of that too.
My wife is very particular about her cereal because
There's certain cereals that matters a lot, but things like bran flakes, like Wheaties is like $7 a box. I'm sorry, but Wheaties is not worth $7 a box.
there are cereals.
If I can pay $3 a box for,
no,
bran
it's all
flakes,
the same crap. Or
generic
like
bran
like
flakes.
Rice Krispies, like they do not have to be
Right.
brand. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, like we've tried off-brand like Fruit Loops or like Fruity Pebbles and stuff like that. Those taste weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
anyway,
The basic
wildly
stuff.
pragmatic.
Wildly pragmatic.
Target, no, Crate and Barrel.
Yeah. So we had a memory of when we had a gift card after we'd gotten married, and we went to Crate and Barrel like 3 or 4 times.
Like, what can we get?
and
A spoon?
We could not find anything
right.
that we would want to buy.
Right.
Not that the stuff isn't nice or nice looking or whatever,
Oh,
but we're just
man.
like we've gone to like Pier 1 before, and we're just like, what is all this?
You basically need to buy an entire room's worth of stuff at Pier 1 to
Yeah.
make it worth it. You can't just
And
get
I'm
one
like,
thing.
who's buying like
You need a whole
giant
vibe.
wicker balls and stuff like that? I'm like, it doesn't even compute in my head.
That's us all the time. Whenever we go into there's Pier 1, there's that other there's places like Pier 1. We go in there and Shannon's like, oh, look at these. I'm like, it's a bowl of balls. Why?
Exactly.
Oh, look at this lantern. I'm like, it's not, it's just a fake lantern with, what are you going to do? What's the decoration? I'm like, why? Like, I am like,
let's get a vase of marbles.
I rain on her parade so hard and I feel bad for it. But I'm like, come on.
But she like kind of gets it and is like into it a little bit. Like,
oh, she's super into it. Yeah.
You know, Rachel, she does not pull punches.
No.
She's not interested in it. So it's actually really fun. Like when her and I try to go decor
shopping, like
shopping,
doing like Mystery Science Theater 3000, but at home decor stores.
Pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. Or we'll like be like, okay, let's go look at, whatever.
Let's go criticize Crate and Barrel.
Well, no, we'll like go there on a mission. Like, okay, we even had gift card money, which we didn't have a lot of money at that time. So I was like, all right, we have some money. I think we ended up buying
cutting board.
We ended up buying Christmas ornaments
at Crate and Barrel.
At Crate and Barrel.
That's amazing.
Because partly is because like I think we had like $50 or $100. So it's like, what can you buy? A couple of glasses.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, we definitely weren't going to spend more than the gift card. So we got like these really, they were nice looking Christmas ornaments. It was like a pine cone covered in glitter or something. Like it was whatever. We still have it.
A pine cone covered in glitter? You mean like a kid's kindergarten?
No, it was
craft?
like really nice. It was like a very nice looking pine cone. I'm
just picturing a pine cone like with, because kids make those.
No, it wasn't a real pine cone. It was like a fake one. Whatever.
Okay.
But it's a very nice.
Covered in birdseed hanging from a tree.
Yeah, I know. It's like I could have made that, but whatever. So yeah, that was fun. And then we got some gelato, which was nice.
Nice.
And they had lavender flavor, which is
Gelati Celesti?
Rachel's flavor. No, it was a place Frost, which is like in the mall.
Oh, I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Gelati Celesti is not actually gelato, just ice cream. Didn't know if you knew that.
No.
Yep.
Interesting.
Gelati, the name makes it sound like gelato.
It does.
It's not. It's ice cream.
I guess I couldn't.
Gelato is different somehow.
I think one's made with milk and one's made with cream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Anyway, lavender is a hard flavor. She likes lavender and she likes bubblegum ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are really hard to find and highly seasonal and all that. So they had both lavender and bubblegum.
Oh my gosh.
So she got the lavender and I didn't really want all that much. So I got like my I think I got like the chocolate hazelnut, which is like it's basically like Nutella flavored, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, can you like throw a little bubble gum on there, which is a weird combination.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to get a little bit of bubble gum for her.
That's nice of you.
So I dealt with the weirdness of it so that we could have some of that. But then it ended up being too much and we kind of overate. But it was great.
There's
good
one
memories.
Every Gelati Celesti has a spicy hot chocolate every holiday season, and that flavor got me putting cayenne in my hot chocolate.
Okay.
Forever. Like I will never have hot chocolate.
Like actual hot chocolate or spicy hot chocolate ice cream? Or do they have like actual?
Oh, ice cream.
Spicy hot chocolate flavored ice cream.
Ice cream, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that flavor, I loved it so much, I started putting cayenne in my hot chocolate, and it's amazing.
Nice.
One time, though, they had this ice cream place called Maggie Moo's, also over in Short Pump.
Okay.
They had buttered popcorn flavored ice cream, and it was so good.
Is that good?
It was amazing, and I haven't found it since. They shut down, and it's been gone. I never had it again.
I'm surprised buttered popcorn didn't like keep them in business. I guess that's not everybody's as into buttered popcorn as you are, Drew. Maybe.
It's such a shame.
Anyway, cool. Well, there you go. You're now current on everything that we have going on.
You now know what is happening.
That's right. Couple quick company updates, and then we'll wrap it up with a fun fact about teal and turquoise.
Oh.
So hang tight. Company updates real quick. We have a mental health half day today as of when this is publishing on Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
What am I going to
Did
do?
you forget about that?
Archer's at home, so going home would mean being
having Archer, which you could.
Sometimes he's stress free, sometimes he's not. I don't know. Sometimes he's mentally healthy, sometimes he's not.
Yeah, like most children, I think. Yeah.
So maybe I need to go buy a new video game, like a cheap one, like a cheap used game, like a $7 video game.
Okay,
maybe that's what I'll do.
All right, give it some thought.
Or maybe I'll go buy some dollar backpacks.
Hey, there you go. Go carve up some backpacks.
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm gonna do either. I will have to.
I have a Gundam that I need to put together. Maybe I'll do that. Nice Zen. I bought some clippers.
Okay.
Some flush cutters,
Nice.
For
you know what I should work on?
That's what I'll do.
I should work on that bench that I haven't finished.
Yeah, that pen display that you're working on.
I'm also working on a pen display.
Yeah.
I have multi-project syndrome going on right now. Like I haven't finished one project. Actually, I have another project
attach
too.
the pens to a bench.
I have another project that I'm also in the middle of. Oh, it's getting bad.
Uh-oh.
So you know how I built the ramp for the RC car?
Yeah.
Well, the ramp is like, it was kind of prototype.
Temporary ramp, yeah.
But then it's like, it's not something that's like sturdy enough for me to like leave outdoors.
Yeah.
Or it's worth like painting and kind of protecting. But it's kind of big, and I don't like having to store it in my shed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let me just build a better version of it that out of like pressure treated lumber that I can paint and leave outside, and then just never have to bring it inside. I'm sure Rachel will love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Along with the hay bales and the axe, thing and everything. So yeah. Anyway, maybe I'll work on one of those. You know what projects.
Though? You've joked before about how you're becoming like super redneck. There will always be in your neighborhood a reminder that you're not as country as you could be.
One of my neighbors has a dirt bike track, a chicken coop.
Yep.
And many dogs and
skeet shooting
and above ground pool.
Yeah.
Like it's like checking all the boxes,
Yeah.
But it's what you get when you live in the country.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then also this is not super relevant to most people, but I mentioned a few weeks ago how we changed our phone system. Well, it sucked, and we're changing it back. So I think that's happened now. But if you had problems with our phones, I'm sorry. We got promised things that didn't actually end up working as they were promised. So we bailed on that and are now using, I think it's the same phone system we had before. Maybe we're shopping around, but
I believe it's the same phone system as before, but we will continue to shop around.
Yes, exactly. We weren't super thrilled with that one anyway, but whatever. That's all inside baseball. You don't care about any of that, but whatever. It happened. All right. Time to wrap it up. Well, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please leave us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Ask us questions so that we can keep this show going. Check out gouletpens.com for fountain pen ink paper needs. Like and subscribe to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all these things. And my random fact got me thinking, because whenever teal comes up, I'm always like, what is teal actually in turquoise, and where is that fine line?
I've covered all of this, but go on.
So I looked it up. So teal is a greenish blue color, or bluish green, depending on how you want to define it. It actually comes from the name of a bird, the Eurasian teal, or the Anas creca.
That's what I see. I
know it as now you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
Exactly.
So it presents a similarly colored stripe on its head, like its head feathers. So you can see there, I got a little picture. That's the teal. Comes named after the bird, his feathers on his head.
That looks green.
Well, it's teal.
Maybe
it's not the most color accurate picture.
Okay.
But what's funny is in Googling teal versus turquoise, the main definition that I found was that they're both like blue-green colors. Teal is usually considered the darker and more green color. Turquoise is the brighter and more blue. But I also found people saying the exact opposite.
Oh my God.
So I was like, that's not helpful. When they're like specifically explaining it in their articles, that's the total contradiction. I'm like, no wonder people always get confused. And
this is exactly what I found, because when I first started making that video, I set out to do it seriously.
Right.
But I found so many conflicting stuff on the internet. I'm like, screw it. This is going to be a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah. Well, this is where I was like, okay, there's a bird with a pretty green looking feather thing. And then turquoise is commonly named after the gemstone turquoise,
which is lighter blue.
Which can lean green sometimes, but most of them tend to be more blue.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, bird feather head color and gemstone. Yes. And I have them both right next to each other here. I'm like, okay, definitely green, blue. All right.
Let's go with that.
I'm on track. There's no like fine line. Well, also if you look at like the hex codes, like a Pantone color for like what's teal and what's turquoise, it's definitely like teal is more green, turquoise is more blue.
That's what I
pretty
always
definitive.
Thought, yeah.
So that's why I was reading some of these articles that said the opposite. I'm like, you don't have it correct. That seems wrong based on everything I've been doing. Anyway, so I just found it fun. Didn't know it was named after a bird. The bird's name is teal. That's where the color comes from.
There's also phthalo, there's Adriatic, there's cobalt.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Oh yeah, there's aqua.
So many colors.
Yeah.
Rachel is considering repainting our bedroom, and we're going through this right now with different shades of blue, actually, lighter blues. Maybe like a pastel-y blue, kind of maybe purple, something like that.
There you go.
Because right now our bedroom is Goulet blue. This is before we have our current space. It is literally like the same color as like the background in my office.
I bet you're sick
that's
of
what
that.
we wake up to every morning. I love that color, But it is kind of dark.
You don't want to wake up to
what I mean?
you don't want to wake up to the same paint that's in your office though. That's a weird vibe.
I mean, I don't really think about it that much.
No.
I can notice the color, but I'm just not that aware of my surroundings.
Oh, I can understand
happens.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what we got for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you so much for watching, and right on.